All right, guys, bunch of men in here. I'm gonna have a conversation about the state of affairs,
Yep.
about modern woman versus traditional woman, and how it's affecting us. Right. So we're gonna get into it and have a great candid conversation.
I've been sitting here thinking about all the things you do for me, how you make me feel. But wondering if it's the same for you. But when you're not around, I lose my mind, 'cause you keep it like a secret. Why won't you reveal it? Just please tell me that you feel it too.
All right, guys, welcome. We're here to have another episode of Risqué Conversations, and we're going to talk, as I said before, we're going to talk about the state of modern women versus traditional women. Now, guys, some of us are in relationship. Unfortunately for me, I'm not in one right now. I assume that you guys are in relationships, so start by going around the table. I'll go with myself first. My name is Garth Soshahi, and you are?
My name is Caesar,
Okay, and where are you from?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee. Bring the mic a bit closer to your yeah. Right. And we'll go with you,
I'm Daquan.
Daquan.
From Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah.
And
I
I'm-
like that accent. When I grow up, I want to be just like you, you know? And you?
And I'm Ron from New York.
Ron from New York. Oh, the Big Apple.
They call it that.
All right, guys. So as we know that there have been some serious crises going on out there, how as men growing up, there are younger guys in here, older guys in here, and we've seen the changes with modern woman versus traditional woman. I was asked why we didn't invite women in here to have this conversation with us. And Clyde Hyder, who is our producer, right?
Hello, guys.
And he said that he thinks that we'd have a better conversation with just men having a conversation about it. And then we can do a part two and we can bring women in here and follow up with that. And I agreed. And so I reached out to a few people, and some obliged. Thank you, guys. Some didn't. I wanted a diverse group of people in here, but others had responsibility. They had to stay home, take care of their kids because their wife went out of town, or they had a previous engagement and they couldn't be here today. There was actually supposed to be a total of 7 or 8 of us in the studio today, right, including myself and Clyde. And we're only 5 guys in here right now. But hey, better having 5 than just 2, right?
Right.
More the merrier. So the first part of this conversation is this one is one of my favorite to ask, right? Do you think it's men's duty to please a woman or please woman? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. No. It back in the day it used to be, but times have changed. Back in the days, women expected the man to do everything. I'm gonna stay home. Or I'm gonna do less. You're gonna pay all the bills because you're the man. You're gonna pay the rent. And what do you do with your money? You're working. What do you do with your money? I have to pay all the bills. No, man shouldn't be the one that's. And these days, the man is the breadwinner. I don't believe that. I believe it's 50-50. If we're in a partnership, unless we agree 40, 60, but it's 50-50. And a lot of women these days, well, that's the traditional women. The modern women, they're a whole different breed.
True.
Yeah,
True.
As a matter of fact, I think they hold their own. They have better jobs than us. A lot of them think they're better than men. Like for example, I had this one lady told me to get out of her face with my $5 job.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's all dressed, all sophisticated with her handbag. You could tell she has a good job, but she told me my $5 job, That's the modern women.
Well, some of them pretend that they have this fantabulous lifestyle, right? And they'll post on social media with the most expensive bags, right? That they either borrow from a friend or they goad some guy into buying for them so just they can post it on social media, when it's all a fantasy, a lie that they're trying to perpetuate to bring to their reality when they're living in a false reality. They're delusional.
Well, they say fake it till you make it, right? That's probably what they're doing. And
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
that's
and,
true.
and a lot of them they make good money. Women are making more money than men nowadays. I see it.
That's
I see
true.
it. I'm in the public every day, and I see it. Like we're doing. I'm not gonna say we're doing the little jobs, but the majority of the blue collar workers,
Mm-hmm.
men. You'll see a few. Look at the construction that's going on in
True,
Hollywood.
true,
You'll see 100 men and 1 female.
true. And she's typically holding the sign.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you have to say about this? Day go on.
I agree. I agree because nowadays I feel like women want men to do a lot more than what we can do. I should say that because I think women expect for us to please them, do everything for them, but what about us? You know what I'm saying? Like we give you all of this, but what do we get in return? What do we get for take you out, spending all this money and you saving all up your money just for you to go flex for social media and while we working hard?
True.
So I agree with him. I should be 50-50, not the man doing all this for the women and the women not doing anything in return to benefit not just him but the relationship altogether.
True. What would you have to say?
I think so. As far as the question, I think everybody should make themselves happy first. You should come into it happy, because I mean you can never make somebody happy
If you're not happy yourself.
If you're not happy.
Yeah, you got to come with that. So I don't think you could give happiness if you don't have it.
That's true. But that's kind of leave it kind of vague right there when you say about giving happiness. Expound a bit more on that, because the question is it our duty to please women?
So I don't think it is. No. I've seen a lot of women that come into relationships and they say, "Oh, you got to make me this." It's all off of a feeling, you know what I mean? So I think as far as the happiness, they should come in happy. I don't think it works if it don't. So I don't think we should be responsible.
But to add to that, it's a questionable situation. If you're in a relationship, okay, money doesn't mean what makes you happy. You're in a relationship. She's working, you're working. Your part of making her happy is not just the bills. Okay, you might want to, baby, let's go out to eat. It doesn't mean you have to pay for the whole thing. Or she comes home from work and you have dinner made. You have the house clean. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, myself in my relationship, I used to just wait for her to do everything because I'm like, oh yeah, you're the female. You're supposed to clean the house and cook the food. After watching her a little bit, I see that she was not happy with that. That she's the only one cooking, the only one cleaning. But once I started cooking and cleaning, then her whole persona changed. So in that sense, I'll make her happy. But as far as me paying for everything, and we had that conversation. There was one time we went out. It was a bunch of girls, her girlfriends, and a very successful friend of hers owns 2 businesses. Okay, and the bill came up to $200. Everybody's looking at me to pay for it. I mean,
Even the very successful woman?
yes. Oh, you're the man, and it varies on the culture as well. Some cultures, that's what they believe. Like in Latin culture, Caribbean, the man is supposed to be the breadwinner. Okay, so if I take her out, that means I have to pay. But now times have changed, and they need to change as well.
That's coming. That part where you just mentioned is coming, right? Right. So I used to be in a relationship, and I've been in many relationships over the years. Like I said, I like to mess around and tell people I'm 100 years old. So if I'm 100 years old, I've been in quite a few relationships, right? And when I ask a woman out, I automatically know that however, I have to figure out if I don't have the money. If I'm going to ask her out and I don't have the money, I'm not going to ask her out because I'm setting myself up for ridicule. But once I ask a woman out, I am going to pay. Sometimes we'll go out and I'll pay. But I've been in relationships where the woman have asked me out.
I was going to ask you that.
Right? And they have paid. I remember I used to date this one particular person, and she would not allow me to pay. We go to the restaurant, high-end restaurant, and I'll take my card out. And she's like, no, I got it. I was like, no. I'll take care of it. The first time was kind of like, I felt uncomfortable and easy with that. Like, why did she do that? Is the ball going to drop somewhere? Is the shoe going to drop? What is she setting me up for? Right? Next date, we went to a high-end restaurant on Biscayne Boulevard, and we ordered, and she ordered other food to take home, and the bill came up to I think it was like $150. So I'm ready to pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I took the card, gave it to the waitress, right? I turned to look at my phone, and I noticed she said something to the waitress. Then waitress left. That was kind of peculiar to me. Like, why did she say something to the waitress after I gave the waitress my card? So the waitress left, came back, gave me the card, gave her
the bill.
Mm. I'm like, wait a second here. Am I not going to sign? So what the waitress did was rolled the card up in the bill and give it to her. Right? And I was like, why did you do that? Right? She said, no, it's my treat. I said, but we discussed going on a date. She said, yes, but it's my treat. I asked you to go on a date. But the first time I asked her to go on a date and she paid. The second time she asked me and she paid. So I'm like, what is she setting me up for? Right? I later found out that she was doing something kind of like
scam,
questionable going on, right? And I guess to quail her conscience, she would pay the bill because I'm this great guy. I don't play with her mind. I don't mess around. You know, she knows when I leave and go out of town for work and I come back, it's her, you know, and I don't play any games with her. But she was playing games. So to quail her conscience, she would pay for the bill because what she was doing was giving her some money. And so she would always pay for the bill. I later found that out, right, while the relationship was coming down to it was dwindling, right? So that made me more subconscious of why a woman would want to pay when they have this mindset that a man should always pay, right? So that's one of my experiences. But in terms of a man always paying, that is a question that is going on in society. Who should pay on a date? So let's ask that question, right? If a man asks a woman out, or a woman asks a man out, who should pay for the date? Let's start with you.
I think the man should always pay, especially if you're asking. Even if you don't ask, I think as a man, you want to control your environment and situation. And I think when you choose where you want to go, and also when you pay, you're in total control.
I agree with that one actually. Like you have the power to leave the situation if you don't feel up for it. You know what I mean? Like if you see something that you don't like, because you're the one paying, you just pay the bill, and then you get up and
Yeah.
leave. So you have control over that. You don't have to stick around, and you don't owe anybody anything.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think the man should pay, but then again, if the woman asks and she wants to, then I think you should let her, because sometimes women want to feel like I won't want to say have power, but like women want to feel like they can do for themselves too, so they don't want to have to depend on a man to always have to pay for things. Or if she asks to take me out for a dinner and she wants to pay, I'm gonna offer, but then again, I'm gonna let her like pay if she wants to, because that's something that she wants to do. So I'm not gonna tell her she can't do something she wants to do.
You know, some women, they have a mindset. Many women, I should say, have a mindset like the man should pay, regardless. Just like what you say, Caesar, the man should pay. There are many women that, regardless of the circumstance, even if they make more, like you said earlier, they expect the man should pay. And there are a lot of men out there that will tell you, never let a woman pay, because if you let a woman pay, she develops this animosity, and she tends to want to exert power over you because she's paying for the meal or she's doing certain things, right? So many men out there will say, never let a woman pay for anything. That's one of the conditions in being with a woman. But in today's society, they expect for us to pay, while they want the traditional expectation while living the modern lifestyle, right? What you have to say?
Well, I don't think the man should have to pay, at least not the whole thing, because I asked you out, you agreed, so we both made the decision together. So why can't we come half? You work hard, I work hard. Or maybe 1 week I pay, the next week you pay, but the man shouldn't be expected, and it's something that's passed on from generation to generation, and it's just a cycle, and it just became a thing that the man always has to pay. If the woman's working and making more money than me, okay, there's no reason why we can't go half. And the way I see it, look at the numbers, the statistics. There's more women out there than men. If you can't pay, then I'm out. I'll get somebody else. I don't have to pay for love. I remember I was talking to this female, just playing around, because I have somebody, and her friend was like, you can't talk to her. You can't afford her. You can't afford. I said to her, what makes you think she can afford me? It's like that mindset. We're all, women are working now. Women aren't staying home. Okay, they're working now. So you need to know at jump that if we're going out, we go half, or
We don't go at all.
we don't go at all. And this one will go. If you don't, right now there's at least 10 women to every man, and there's more than that, because now there's a lot of homosexuality. So let's say you're a sexual, right? So I'm just saying. Let's say you are. So your 10 women comes to me, or some. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the numbers are there. So if as a man you keep that in your mind, you're gonna always be in control.
Right. Well, the idea of a man always paying or always taking care of everything, that came from tradition, the
Right.
hunter-gatherers, right? So the woman would stay home and rear the children. The man would go out and hunt and bring home the food, right? Bring home what's needed, the sustenance, to make sure that the family stays strong and healthy and can live another day, right? So that's where that came from. But over time, the perpetuation of media, marketing, and all the different holidays like Valentine's Days, Halloween, all these different festivities, right? They're all geared to us spending more money, right?
That's all it is.
Yeah, all geared to us spending more money. But that mindset stayed and is conditioned by the older woman to the younger woman that the man should always take care of everything, right? Even fathers tell their daughters, hey, make sure the man takes care of you. And back in the past, even when, and it's still happening, but not as prevalent as it used to, where they have arranged marriages. And there is something that's called, it's called Dory, right? Where the man has to come and pay some kind of gifts to the family to get the hand of the woman that he wants to be with.
It's like you're buying
Right?
her.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is, but you can't really say buying her.
Right, right.
It's because it was tradition. It was like, okay, she's going to leave my home and come to your home. You have to show us as the family that you can take care of her. So you need a bride price. So you pass that bride price on to the family, right? And when if the relationship ends, back in the past, they could not separate by divorce, but they could separate legally, right? And they would have to now give the bride price back, but the bride price would go to the ex-wife. This is where divorce and alimony came about, right? And that's a conversation all in itself, right? We had Clyde and I, we did a show like that several episodes back, but we talk about that exact thing, right? So it is conditioned in woman from family that the man should pay for everything, and rightfully so. A man should pay for things, but you made a great point that in society there are more women than men, and largely, by and large, there are corporations that are hiring women, right? They have a gender equality that they have to a quota that they have to meet. So for meeting this quota, they will hire a woman even if a woman is not qualified, right? So they can meet that quota, right? Not saying that there aren't women that are not qualified, because in college, largely there are more women than men, right?
It's like affirmative actions.
Yes, it's like affirmative action. So because there are more women than men in colleges, there by virtue of that, you're going to have women that are qualified for certain positions. But when it comes to the heavy duty positions, women don't want to do it. They want to do soft jobs where their fingers and their nails are not going to get chipped or cracked, right? So they want equality, but they want equality in the corporate office. They don't want it out doing the hard labor jobs, right? So that condition is perpetuated by society because women are the largest spenders, and therefore they need to make sure that they keep that status quo moving forward. So when they tell us that, hey, the man should pay for everything, it's because they know that women are the biggest spenders. And we'll get further in that as we go down. The women are the biggest spenders, and they know that men are more conservatives. So in order to get the man to spend money, hey, man, you need to pay for everything, right? So any feedback there on that part, what I just said? No? Clyde?
Yeah, pretty much covered it all.
All right. All right.
Let's move on.
So let's move on. All right. What do you think when women always say, you hear it a lot, a woman always say, I don't need no man, in that way. Now, I see everybody's face lit up, right? Women always say, I don't need no man, right? So let's talk about that. When a woman say that I don't need a man or I don't need no man, how do you feel about that? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I mean, I hear that a lot, but it's BS. Okay, no matter how you cut it, who's gonna change your tires? Who's gonna paint your house? Yeah, they might try to do it, but they don't want to do that. Get your car for oil change. Sometimes you might want to go out and you need your man to babysit the kids. That's men are staying home taking care of kids. Okay, not to get raw, but who's gonna give it to you in bed?
You have a strap on for that. I mean, they have
it-
toys for that.
They
Yeah.
do, but it's not the same.
Mm.
It's not the same. That's not the same feeling. I know this lesbian on the down low goes and sleep with a guy.
Mm.
I know
Okay.
a couple.
I know
It's-
I know of one too.
It's not. I used to work in the projects in Carroll City when I first moved here, and a lot of lesbians.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the couples, 2 women. When the female one is away, they always, the male try to be male one. Hey Ron, can you help me bring these bags of laundry? Okay, and she's looking like a dude. Oh, can you show me how to do this real quick? Can you show me how to change this battery? Because she don't want the woman to know that she's using me. This is a everyday thing. They would use us on the down low and act like they don't need us.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so they can say all day that they don't need a man. They need a man.
Yeah.
Straight or lesbian.
You know, we might get some flack for even saying that part, you know, because we live in cancel culture. But I knew of the male female in a lesbian relationship similar to you, and her longtime childhood friend, right? And every time that her girlfriend goes to school, a girlfriend goes to school at night. She works during the day, and she goes to school at night. And oftentimes he would call me. He's like, "Yo, guess what?" I was like, "What?" He was like, "I hit that." I was like, "What?" What? He was like, "But she isn't she in a relationship with? Isn't she the dude in the relationship?" Like, yeah, but we've been doing it for a long time. Like we've been messing around for a long time. So when she decided that she wants to become gay, she wants to become lesbian, and she wanted to be the male lesbian, that part of our relationship remained. So when her girlfriend goes to school, she would come over sometimes. We would smoke out, drink out, and do it, and then she'll dress and go back home before her girlfriend gets home, and nothing ever show up. But and she also lived in Carroll City.
Oh shit! Listen, we're not allowed to curse, right?
You can, but
Okay, all right.
don't get too crazy.
No, I'm not gonna get crazy, but I'm gonna just be real.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned they have strap-ons, right?
Right.
Okay. Ours is natural. We don't need to strap. The same thing the woman can do to another woman, we can, but better, because what do they do? Eat each other out? I can do that. I don't need a strap on, but you have that feeling, that manly feeling holding her. A woman can't give that to another woman.
Let's deviate from that for a second, right? And let me anyone have any input before I go to the next point, because I'm going to address something that you said earlier on, but I don't want to forget about it, so I want to kind of get their feedback, and Clyde, if you want to jump in, definitely, but I want to get everybody's feedback, and there was a point I want to address to what you said earlier. Yeah,
I would say when you say women say they don't need a man, it depends on what context clues they not context clues, but context you put it in. Because my mom, I grew up with just my mom by herself at first, so my mom taught me a lot of things that like a man should teach me, but I didn't have that father figure there, so my mom did. So it's a lot of things women can do for themselves that they don't necessarily need a man, but then again they also need a manly figure there in their life to put in, what would I say? They need a manly figure there to step in those.
Show the boy or the daughter that opposite side or the other side that a woman or a man can't do because a man can raise a girl, he can raise a son, right? And statistically, when a man is a single father, right, that child usually turn out to be far more beneficial to society than when a single mother raise a child. They're very, the statistic in terms of man raising a child and a woman raises a child alone, usually the child will turn out to be better raised with the man than with the woman. It's like when a woman raised a boy growing to a man will challenge that woman. Also, a girl will challenge their mother. A girl will challenge their mother far more than the boy, right?
I agree.
But what tends to happen is that the mother coddles the boy. Large percent of the time coddles the boy more. So the boy becomes very entitled. Girls do that too, right? But the boys become very entitled. They're mama's boy. They want to get
Very
over
soft.
one woman. Yeah, they're softer, right? And the ones that are softer try to be more aggressive in society. And because they were raised by a woman only, their aggression comes out, their masculinity comes out with way more aggressive because they're trying to
Overcompensate.
exactly.
Yeah.
They're trying to overcompensate, and with that overcompensation usually ends them up in prison
Or dead.
or dead. Right? So for you turned out to be an upstanding person. We met recently. You turned out to be an upstanding person. By far, I'm not saying that a woman can't raise a man or a boy or a girl by themselves, right? However, statistically, the best advantage for a child is to be raised with both parents. But if not both parents, the child usually turn out better when they're raised with the father. But there's a reason why the child is always awarded to the woman, right? It's about money, right? And we can get there later on.
Yeah.
All right, what you have to say about Caesar?
No, I agree. Even in high school, I had girls that were gay, and they still want that masculinity. They still want that man. I think as far as the question, if they say they don't need a man,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the ones who want the man the most.
That's deep.
I've heard a lot of women that say, "Oh, I don't need no man, this and that," but once I get them, they turn into little babies. You know what I mean? So it's like, wait, I thought you didn't need no man. Now it's, can you do this? Can you? No. You know what I mean? Keep that same energy.
Right.
But, I like he said, it depends.
It
Because
depends on the situation.
there's single mothers, that's out here, and they'll do the job. They don't like doing it though. And if they had a man, they would receive that help. You know what I mean? So, it's ghastly blowing.
I'm thinking more about like how the energy that they put forth. Like it's not just sometimes they don't even say it necessarily. I don't need no man. They don't flat out say it, but it's if they put out that type of attitude, that type of mentality, it's kind of like a turnoff for me.
Yes.
It's kind of like, imagine you have a conversation with somebody and you're telling the other person, I really don't need you. I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, why am I even talking to you? Like, it's off-putting. The other person would take that as a sign of disrespect, and I'm trying to get rid of them, and rightfully so. Because if I said that to somebody, then I'd be trying to get rid of them. So they essentially are doing the same thing, but they don't really. Sometimes they don't realize that. Like, they say those things. We had somebody on the show here, and she started off with that. Yeah, we don't really, I don't really need no man. And it's like, okay, so where do you go from there? How can you continue having a normal conversation or like be invested and pursue this person if they, from the beginning on, they tell you that they don't really need you and they don't really have a need for you? Like.
I think a lot of it also is like social settings. I think they say it as like trigger words. So I think, it's cool to say when they're around their girls, but when you get one-on-one with a girl and you're that guy,
She not gonna be on the same level.
that's not even a conversation that you have when you're really that guy and she look at you in a respectable way. They're not talking about no stuff like that. Need no man. That's not even a conversation.
Yeah, they got that song out. I can buy my own flowers. I can hold my own hands.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
You know,
Really? I didn't hear that.
I can do the same thing
She
that you
remade
can.
that song
Yeah, she from
from-
Bruno Mars.
Uh-huh.
But Bruno Mars saying I can buy you flowers. You know,
Yeah.
and now she flipped it. I can buy my own flowers.
She did a
But-
parody. She
but
did a
see,
parody.
But see, that's why I say it's a social
It's
thing.
that's what I picked up when you said that. That's
when
what
when
came-
you make a song like that, the more empowered women,
they're beating their
they're gonna
chest or
eat
their
that
breasts.
up.
Yeah.
Even the ones that have a husband, they're gonna
Yeah.
still.
I don't
eat it
need
up.
you.
Yeah, they,
Right.
yeah.
It's the going off of that. I was going to say something there. The social conditioning. The biggest way and the best way for us to be part of the herd, right? Is we all have herd mentality, right?
Yeah.
And the biggest way to for us to be part of the herd is the music, the TV,
Yep.
right?
Big
I said this to someone, and I typically say stuff like this to people. Like, whenever something is going to be introduced in society, pay attention to the movies. They put it out in the movies first.
Yeah.
Yep.
They put it out subtly, right? Pull us in, condition us, right? And then you will hear a song that comes out that if you think of the movie and you hear the song, it kind of complements each
Yeah,
other,
yeah.
right? But what's different with a movie and a song, visual aspects of it, our eyes are cameras, right? It captures everything. And when we see it, that imagery gets remembered. It's stored in our memory. We are computers in a sense, right? We're biological computers. So we capture information and we store it, right? Now, what gets us to really start to live the lifestyle of what we see, the music.
The music.
Because you can watch a movie and you remember it, but you won't necessarily play the music, play the movie out, right? We live our lives in moments, in themes, right? Especially women. So let me put it out this way: you watch a movie, and it's about a man, a woman having a great time, hanging out. Then they go to the club, then they go home, and they get busy, right? Okay, cool. Then she tells her friend, and he tells his boys, right? So they tell each other, they're close friends, their friend group. Hey, I had a great time with Tommy last night. Oh, I had a great time with Jenny last night. You know, just throwing out some names.
Yeah.
Anybody with Tommy or Jenny, no offense to you, right? So then Jenny's friends, curious of Tommy. Like, Tammy's packing like that? I'm curious, right? They don't want to come out and say they want to be with Tommy, right? But they do, right? We know, we've had experiences. I know people that have experiences like it, right? So they'll say, hey, can you find out if you have a friend? Because chances like if he's like that, his friend might be like that too, right? So they want to find out, but they really want Tommy, right?
Right.
All right. So now they get together, triple date, double date, whatever, because Tommy's going to bring some of his friends and Jenny's going to bring some of her friends. They all go out, not to a restaurant to eat. They go out to the club. Everybody get boozed up, right? And they having a time of their life, and then they pair off in couples, right? But you listen to the music. The music is playing that lifestyle that they want to live, that happy-go-lucky lifestyle. Now go back to the movie. They all watch the movie. All the women watch the movie. Maybe the man too. Watch the movie. That music triggered that memory subconsciously of the movie, and they want to live that theme. They want to live that lifestyle, right? Because they all want the same thing because of herd mentality. So when we are marketed to, and a woman say, I don't need no man, it's not really because she believed that. It's because she was conditioned to believe that. And even some women won't necessarily believe that holistically or viscerally. They won't necessarily believe it to the core. But because their friends are saying it, they go along with the herd and start saying it too.
Yeah.
And once you start saying something over and over,
You start believing.
believing it, right? False reality, right? And that's where a lot of us are, right? So that was the point I wanted to make. So it's about herd mentality, that why a lot of us end up doing the things that we're doing. Peer pressure, right? So Clyde, you have any part?
No, let somebody else take the floor. Anybody else has anything to say?
Okay. So I have a I came up with this word, right? Clyde actually like it. I'm going to use it again, Clyde, right? You can look at it, it's the third one down, so you can look at it, right? So I'm going to ask that question. So, do you think by large amounts of couples, right? It's coming. Large amount of couples are in relationships or manipulationships.
Ooh.
You like that one, right?
Boy.
Who wants to take this one first?
Let's go.
You like that one, right?
Relationships or
manipulationships.
man, I like that word.
Manipulationships?
Yeah, because it's real. I never fathomed that it's a manipulationship.
Hold that thought. Hey, worldwide people out there, I came up with that word. So when you start hearing it in the media, social media, you start seeing it all over. Garth Soshahi came up with that word. So don't try to figure out who came up with that word. I did. So look at the face, and you can remember I said that. I have witnesses in here. So let's continue.
So you got to coin that term, man.
Manipulationship.
Manipulation. And I think most relationships are manipulationships because people could be miserable, right? But they're together. They stay together because they're getting something out of it. They can put up with this little bit, but they need that much because the good outweighs the bad. Okay. Yeah, he's coming home late at night. Okay, he's getting drunk every night, but he's paying all the bills. So, in a way, I'm kind of being manipulated because you could just leave. But wait, I'm getting off. I'm thinking about myself, my relationships that I've been in, and the things that I've been going through, how I've been manipulated to do things for everybody in this relationships, family, and I get nothing out of it. But
wait, so you was getting drunk and coming in?
well, it's like, see, this is one of the reasons I don't want my Instagram. It's like, okay, I'm working hard, working 2-3 jobs. Her family needs this. I give it to her. They're supposed to give it back to me. They don't. She cooks a great dinner, does great things, and keep asking, taking care of everybody. And turn around and look back, and I see I have nothing. And I see they all have everything. That's a form of manipulating. But I'm thinking, and to myself, I'm thinking, this is a good relationship because she's cooking, she's cleaning, and my bank account is empty. And I'm behind in my bills, but everybody else are thriving.
Her side of the family?
Yeah. And I once asked her a question. I said, if you're on the plane and you have a baby in your hand and the mask falls, who do you put it on first? She said, the baby, of course. I said, that's what it is. Her family's the baby. You're supposed to put it on yourself first. Self-preservation. But she manipulated the relationship to think her way by putting the oxygen mask on her family, and they thrived, and I just dwindled away. Now they have everything, I have nothing. So that word is deep for me.
Manipulationship.
Yeah, that's been a
again, people, manipulationship. Did you hear that word?
Yeah.
Most of us, And I think by large, there's some women that are in manipulationships, but by large, it's mostly men that are being manipulated, right? And when we look at it, we try to do our best to please a woman,
Yes.
right? When we really feel for that woman, we will give our arms, our legs. We'll walk the entire city. We could jump in a car and drive around the city, but we'll walk the entire city just to make her happy. And they'll say, "Oh, you're a simpleton. You know, only simple men do that. You're a simp," right? But when you love a woman, you'll do anything for that woman, right? When a woman loves you, a woman will do just about anything.
You think?
And yeah, they'll do. That's what I said. Just about anything,
Okay.
right? And it gets to a point where the woman will say no more, right? When a man loves a woman, a man truly loves a woman. He loves her holistically.
Yes.
A woman loves a man conditionally, transactionally. A man will walk into a restaurant or a convenience store or a gas station, and he'll see a woman and she fits his taste. He's like, "Wow, I like what I'm looking at. Like she's nice. You know, I could see me with her." And he will talk to her, ask her out, and if he looks to fit her standard, her step up, right? Because most women are pergamous. They want bigger the better,
Yeah,
right?
They look at the shoes.
Right, you know, they'll definitely look at the shoes and they try to figure a man out from there, right? So many women are hypergamous, you know, and they believe in the flashy, what they see, the glitz, the glamour, opulence, right? And the difference is when they get to a point, let's say a man and a woman is in a relationship and cheating happens and the woman cheats. Most men, and I've been guilty of it, when you love the woman, you'll forgive her, right? And a woman, she will also forgive the man. And the woman, when a woman cheats, she will say, "Okay, I know I cheated. I'm giving you the door. It's wide open. You can go out there and you can cheat too." Why? Because she knows she's guilty and that will make her feel better, right? When a man cheats, it's different. The woman don't want him to cheat anymore, right? He's not going to give her a pass to go out and cheat because he knows he can look at her and say, "Oh, I effed up. I really fucked up on this one. I shouldn't have done that. Look what she's going through," right? So he's not going to say, "You can go out there and do it." Now, some men have done that and regretted it, right? So when a relationship happens like that, it's hard for both sides, right? So being in a relationship and a woman said, "Okay, I want this," the man is going to do his darnest to try to get it to her,
He's
for
gonna
her.
get it. Yep.
All right?
Mhm.
That's why I said earlier, he'll walk the city because he wants to make sure she's happy. The difference now with that is that it's a relationship, right? In some cases, it's a manipulationship.
Mhm.
But many women that are not in relationships want the exact same thing as if they were in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I came up with the word manipulationship versus relationship. Daquan, what's your feedback?
I'll say, I think, like he said, I think a lot of people are in manipulationships because, like you said, men would do a lot of things if they love a woman, but when women would love a man, they would do just about anything, but then again, it's always okay. If the woman's unhappy, the man have to change something in order to please the woman, not the opposite way around. So that's why I think a lot of relationships are manipulation, because if a woman tell you, oh, I don't like this or that, you're going to have to change that in order to be with her.
Right.
If you tell her that it's, oh, no, I'm not changing who I am, or
You're massaging it. You're trying to control me. Yeah.
So that's what I think.
Yeah. What you have to say, Caesar?
That's a good point. I would say manipulation isn't always a bad thing.
So,
I think you can manipulate somebody into being successful.
well, we're not talking about being successful. That would be deviating from being in
So
a
we're
relationship.
speaking on manipulation as in
A relationship.
like a bad thing, though.
Earlier on, we said fake it until you make it.
Okay.
Ron said, fake it until you make it.
Right.
So the question is, many couples, are they in a relationship or a manipulationship? Right? So when you say manipulationship can be a good thing, in my humble opinion, a manipulation is never a good thing.
Always bad.
It's always bad.
Okay.
That connotation of it's like taking a cup. We have cups on the table. We know the way the cup is shaped right now.
Correct.
I can manipulate the shape of this cup by simply pressing it. If this cup had feelings, it would start screaming.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So would that be a good thing? If you manipulate the cup?
I mean, but look,
Depending on your uses.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if
Depending
you're
on
trying
how
to
you
fit it into a bottle,
Mm-hmm.
that would be better than just free pouring it to get it on the table. But
That's if we're speaking in the context of a cup, but we're speaking in the context of a relationship.
Right. And that's why I say the relationship, let's say for instance, right, you want a female to do something for you.
Mm-hmm.
You can manipulate her into doing that. That'll better her and the relationship. You know what I mean? So it's like, in that sense of the manipulation, I don't think it would be a bad thing. But I'll speak on it from.
But what are you getting? What you're manipulating them, right?
Right.
To do something to better themselves. Why? So you can have a better life.
Right.
Okay, so that's
No,
taking advantage of somebody.
It's not necessarily for you to have a better life. It's
Then
for
for who? For him
the
to have a
relationship.
for the relationship. So
Right.
thus means
So-
you want to have a better life.
So for example, right, you could tell your girl, look, I want you to start cooking a little early because we're eating too late, right? And we're trying to get in shape or whatever, So it's like you put certain things into place where now she starts cooking earlier. You know what I mean? So it's like you manipulating her into doing that.
I disagree. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with what your point. Because you're making a point, and it's not hitting home.
Tell me how.
All right. So you already said to her, this is how you're not manipulating her. You think you're manipulating her, but you already said to her, we are trying to lose weight. Right? You're cooking too late. We're eating too late. And if we're eating too late, we're going to go to sleep, and we're going to exactly, and we're gonna gain weight. So you said to her, like, you should start cooking early so we can eat early.
Right.
That's not manipulation. You already told her. You already gave a reason why she should start cooking early. Right? That's not manipulation. Manipulation would come. I'll let you speak. You want to say something. I don't want you to forget your thought.
No, go ahead.
Manipulation would come in if you come in and you said, hey, I want you to start cooking earlier. Naturally, she's going to come with some resistance. Why you want me to start cooking earlier?
Right.
Because I'm getting too fat. You didn't say we're getting too fat. I'm getting too fat. So naturally, you put the onus on her. You're blaming her for cooking too late when rightfully you didn't have to eat the food late.
That's true.
Right?
Well, you could have cooked for yourself.
Yeah, you could have cooked. Exactly.
Right.
How, if you wanted to go that way where you put in the context of using manipulation in a positive way, rather than you telling her that she's cooking late, you come home and you cook early. You dish the food out. You give it to her, right?
So would that be the manipulation?
That's a manipulate. If you want to, I'm putting in context to benefit what your point that you were trying to make, that manipulation could be a good thing. You would be manipulating her to cook earlier.
From her seeing you cook earlier.
From you cooking early, yes. From you cooking earlier and making all the preparation, preparing the food, dishing her portion out and your portion out. Say, baby, let's go eat.
See,
right?
in my point of view, I would think that wouldn't be manipulation.
How so?
I think at that point you would be giving her example what you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was giving my example, I said you put certain things into place for her to do that. So like, let's say you coming home this time, instead of coming home that time, you come home this time on purpose. Cause like, oh no, I told you not to cook that late. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's say you come home at 6, you want your food at 7, you leave out at 8. She said, where you go? Oh, I left out. You didn't eat. I told you I didn't want to eat that late. You know what I mean? So that would be like, in my example, a form of manipulation. Does that make sense to you?
You didn't say that earlier, but now
I
when you put it
bring
in
it
that
down.
context,
Yeah.
it makes sense because you'd typically you'll be manipulating her
Right.
by doing it that way,
Right.
And then next time she would cook much earlier because
Right.
she wants you to eat,
But
right? But hold on. But when I ask, are many people that are in a relationship, are they in a relationship or a manipulationship?
Right.
Right? So if you're not clear on that question, maybe I could expound more on it.
No, I got the question. But that's why I say I'll go in the context of it being that, right? So, of course, I think 99.9% of the relationships nowadays are manipulationships.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
So
I don't think it could be without. I don't see it existing without it, you know?
Ron?
Yeah, I agree because you want something out of your relationship, okay? And if you're not getting it, so you're gonna have to manipulate. And most of the time, people don't naturally do things, you know, the same way. Like my woman is not gonna naturally do things the same way, the same timing that I want it done. So I have to find a way to manipulate her to make her do things my way, and vice versa. So, but there's times where you just do everything that person's way and you forget about yourself. Okay, that's when it becomes bad, because I've been there where everybody's thriving and I look back, where's my life's work? And the only thing I have to show is this little thing right here, you know.
Right.
So when you get manipulated so much where you forget who you are, forget your goals,
right,
even your family, but you just concentrate on that person, that relationship, that's a manipulationship. Because when you come into a relationship, there's you and there's that person, right?
correct,
Okay, it's two worlds coming together as one. Okay, they're supposed to. It's either you're pushing together or you're pulling together. One can't be pushing, the other one's pulling.
right,
So if one is pushing, the other one's pulling, somebody's gonna give. Okay, it's either we push together or we pull together. So now, if we're pulling apart, the one who's stronger, whether it's mentally or physically, usually the mental is the strongest.
right,
Okay, then they're gonna be manipulated to be in that person's world.
true.
Okay, so it's a touchy situation, and you have to be alert in your relationship to not be manipulated, because most of the time, especially guys, man. Because what did Bruno Mars say? I'll step in front of a train for you.
I mean, there's so many songs out there that the songs of yesteryear are far more, as they say in the world now, simpish, right?
Yeah.
Than the songs of today. The songs of today are more aggressive, in your face. This
Straight
is
to
what
the
I
point.
want to do, and when I want you to do it, how I want you to spread eagle for the woman. You know?
But I don't hear a song of female in the context, I'm going to step in front of a train for you. No, you don't hear the female singing that.
No, the
I
woman.
want this, I want that.
Yeah.
And the opposite, they sing about how they don't need a man.
Mm-hmm.
Most songs are about that when the woman is singing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you better
that's
call Tyrone.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? About
I don't want no scrub.
Yeah. That was a,
You're
that was
right,
a that was a big one. I tell you a story, right? So many years ago, a friend of mine, former friend of mine, had some financial issue, and he says, "Hey, I'm having some financial issue." He had a big body Benz, the 2-door 600 Benz, right?
Damn.
And he says, "Can you buy the car for me?" Right? Buy from the finance company for me. I'll drive the car. He says, "I'll drive the car and I'll keep making the payment, but you own the car." Right? He wants to make sure that his status is still looking good for the ladies and people that he was doing business with. He was in real estate. So my then girlfriend warned me against it. But I've known this guy for a while, and he was living fairly well. He made decent money, and he had a Lambo, right?
Wow.
He had a Range Rover, right? And he had a big body Benz, and he lived in a mansion. So he was looking like pretty, right? Like nice. But he made some bad decisions, and so he needed some quick cash. And he asked me to buy the car from the finance company for him, and he'll keep driving it. So I did, right? Against being warned not to do it, I did. So after a while, he decided he's going to stop paying. I started paying. That car was $1,146 and 26 cents. Oh yeah. That was a payment.
A month?
Yes, a month.
That's mortgage.
Not including insurance. Right? But the type of job I was doing at the time was pulling in a decent amount of money. And I was paying it, right? And that's right around the time when I met Clyde, right? Somewhere around that period of time I met Clyde. And I took the vehicle from him. A very good friend, a best friend of mine, a former police officer. He was a police officer at the time, and he helped me to retrieve the car from him. And I started driving that car. And the attention that car brought to me was unbearable. I mean, the woman, they didn't see me. They didn't see me. But here's the thing. Many times I was with him talking about I don't need no scrub. Many times I was with him. He's driving. But you know who was the owner of the car?
You.
Me.
You.
I'm sitting in the passenger seat.
Looking like a scrub.
Looking like a scrub. He's getting all the attention from the girls.
Oof.
Even girls that they would look at me, and I'm not saying I'm the best looking guy in the block now. I'm 100 years old, so back all those years I was a nicer looking guy, right? They would start talking to me, right? And they would see him get in the driver's seat, and their attention would shift to him.
Wow.
But I'm the owner of the car.
Wow.
They don't know because he's the one driving. So I remember I was on South Beach at a famous club back then. It was called Amnesia, right? And so I saw this girl. I mean, she was my type. Nice height, how I like them. Slim, how I like them. Nice rear, and how I like. Everything was just, right. Very beautiful in the face, very attractive in the face. I went and started talking to her, and we were, chatting it up, good vibes. And he pulled around with the car, and she was like, "Is that your friend?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my friend," right? So I got in the passenger seat because we were getting ready to leave, and you could see that while I'm talking to her, she's leaning over talking to me on the passenger side, but her attention was on him
Wow.
the whole time. Following week, we went out. I didn't see her. 2 weeks later, I saw her. She cozy on up to him. Right? What do you think happened after that?
They got together.
He bust the cheeks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do anything about it because I don't own her parts. She owns her parts. She makes
Right.
decisions on her parts. So I had to live with it. Right? And I can't hold it against him
No.
because she went after him. He's just being a man and he did it. You know what she said to me? You heard the song. I don't need no scrub.
She said that?
She said that to me. Right?
Wow.
But here's what's crazy. Months pass, and she saw me driving the car. She said, "Where's your friend?" She said, "Where's your friend?" I said, "We're not cool anymore." She said, "Really? So what are you doing with this car? Doesn't this car belong to him?" I said, "No, I was the owner."
Yeah, so you got with the scrub.
Right? I said, I was the owner. She said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I was the owner." She's gonna ask. She follow up with a question. So, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh my God. Not you.
Really? She said,
Wow.
"What are you doing this weekend?" I was like, "I'm good.
Wow.
I'm good." And I never talked to her after that. I didn't want to see her after that because I already know my friend crushed her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You want that?
Yeah, I didn't want to deal with that.
The leftover.
Right? Wasn't even about the leftover. It's because I went and talked to her. We exchanged numbers. We were closing our conversation, but when she saw him pull up in the car, her attention deviated from me to him. She didn't show up, I guess because she didn't want me to see her at the club. We spoke one time during the week, and she didn't return my call anymore.
You know, that's crazy. That's
She skipped out and then follow up that. Then 3 weeks later, he bust cheeks. And then when she saw me a few months later with the car, then
now she wanted you.
now she won. Right? So there are many songs out there that talks about how a woman can say the most degrading things about men. And they'll say it on social media. They'll say it on traditional media. But let one of us just even go and utter a word, speaking the truth about what's going on in society, right? Utter a word, and they cancel us,
Yeah.
right? We're a misogynist, you know. We hate women. They say the most hurtful things, the most vile things, in an effort to cancel us. And what's bad too is when men join them to help do that against their. It's like they're against their own peril. Like, how can you know what she said, and you're going to side with the vile things she said or what she and her cohorts are trying to do against men, and you're going to go with that? That's that male feminist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Right. And largely, a lot of them grow with single women, single mothers, the male feminists. Right? Not trying to offend them, but in many cases, a woman that raises a boy, she raised the boy to be the man that she always wanted. But at the same time, she raised him to treat a woman how she wants to be treated. So when something comes up in society that touches him the way it would affect his mother, he tends to want to fall in line with that agenda, and he goes against his best interest. Yeah? What do you guys have to say about your feedback for that?
Hey, man.
I agree.
I say, man.
1000%.
You know, it's just to go back a little bit. You remind me. I have a friend who works right down the street at one of the bars, and I ran into him not too long ago, and he had a real nice car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, that's a nice car. He's like, yeah, I know. I get a lot of girls with that. It's like so materialistic. He's getting, and I tell you, this guy's not the best looking person out there. Okay, he looks rough, but he with that car, he's getting a lot of females.
I'm going to add this in, and I think a lot of men typically know this. Most men are not handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Most men are footsome, right? Also, guys, I coined that word, footsome. Right? You're going to hear a lot coming from the Think and Say podcast. You know, words that are joined, promantus, right? So, most men are footsome.
Mm-hmm.
The women are the ones that should be attractive,
Yes.
right? So when a man buys the flashy things, the glamorous, the opulent looking things to woman because she sees dollar signs, ching ching,
Ching.
nice car, nice shoes, nice clothes, some jewelry, means that he can take care of the
me.
Right, exactly, right? So she don't care, right? Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G.,
Yeah.
right?
What?
Okay. Faith, his wife, attractive woman.
Gorgeous.
Biggie, not so attractive man. Biggie's footsome. Faith is pretty,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Very pretty, right? And didn't they get married and have a child?
Yep.
So
Ugly child too. I'm just kidding.
don't. No.
But look at Martin Lawrence. What Martin Lawrence? Remember, he used to say he used to be so ugly. Now he's got all this money. He's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say something there, but that would be going off. But so let's get back to this. So
Yeah.
when we talk about women wanting things and the manipulation that we'll go through, and we'll stand in that manipulation. We'll know that we're getting manipulated, and we'll stand in that manipulation, right? Because the woman knows, like, she wants this, and the man wants. She's like, I'm giving him sex. I'm doing this for him. You know, women are born with that value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to. They are the gatekeepers for sex.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they know that they have what we want, and so hence they're going to do what they have to do to give or to get what they want, right? So it tends to always be a manipulation ship. Now, traditional women, not all, there are women that have, I would say, 80% traditionalism or 70% traditionalism, but back in the past, a woman would go out to work, she'll come home, she'll prepare a meal. My mom used to do that.
Me too.
My mom used to do that. My mom used to go to work, come home, prepare a meal, until I got to a certain age where now I had to be the one that cooked for my siblings.
Yeah.
You know, I had to be the one keep the house clean. I had to do all of this stuff because my mom was out working. But there was a point where she would go to work when she'll go and do things when she wasn't really working. But she would go out and, but she'll come home and she'll cook, and all of us would eat. Daddy would eat, everybody would eat, right? But nowadays, a woman is saying, I am not going to do wife duties when I'm a girlfriend. Have you guys heard that?
I hear that a lot too.
What you guys? Who wants to go first? You want to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Wait, so which one was it?
The question was, have you heard about women saying, I'm not going to do wife duties when I'm a girlfriend?
Yeah. Funny, I've actually heard that from a girl that was cheating with me. Crazy. But yeah, she had a boyfriend, and on Instagram they were like the perfect couple. Like they like matching outfits, they going to Paris, they doing all of this. But yet I'm hitting it.
You're busting cheeks.
Yeah, I'm hitting it. And when she come and have the conversation with me, she would tell me stuff like that. So it was like, oh, this guy, he's not gonna marry me. So I'm like, what? Yeah.
So, wait. So because she, in her mind, he's not going to marry her. So she already conditioned her mind that he's not going to marry her. So it gives her the right and the
Right.
freedom to do what she's
So
doing
it
with
would
you.
be certain. So she would come to me and she would cook food for me.
But she wouldn't cook for him.
I'm the side guy.
Wow.
Her main guy, she would give him shit about cooking food for him.
Wow.
And that's what she told me. Yeah, when he decides to marry him, and I'm sitting there thinking like, wait,
You mean when she decided to when he decided to marry her?
she would cook for him. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, you just cook food for me. I'm not even your boyfriend. I don't put no effort into this at all. Yeah, that's I've heard that. That's not the only time I've heard that either. But that's a good example I've had of a situation like that.
Same.
You're Daquan, you're in a relationship, right?
Yes, I am.
And how long you been in a relationship?
Been off and on. So I got what first time we got together. I was in college. I was a sophomore in college, and then we got back together my junior year in college. So we've been together for about off and on a good three years. Off and on. So yeah, about off and on about 3.5 years. 3.5 going on 4.
And in your relationship, are you getting wife duties? Even though you're
Well, I could say honestly, yes, because not necessarily just because I moved in with her, but because it depends on what you describe as wife duties. Because you can be my girlfriend, but still do girlfriend duties, but that's the same as wife duties, but you cannot be my wife.
What do you describe as girlfriend duty versus wife duties?
Okay, let's see. Girl, well, I'm still young, got some age on me, so mine might be a little different from y'all's, but
How old are you?
I'm 25.
25. Okay.
Yep. But girlfriend duties and wife duties are entirely way different because I think, in my opinion, wife duties are doing things like, okay, example, if we married, okay, we might invest in something together. We might, not necessarily waste money, but waste money in order to build money together. If you're my girlfriend, I don't expect you to want to invest in something with me if we're not together, if that makes sense. So things like that. Now cooking, like you said, cooking, that's just something like you might grow up with, you might not grow up with. Because I done had a couple females like that done had boyfriends and just come over just to vent, and they'll cook for me, but then they'll go back with their boyfriends and go out and go get some food, like takeout or something like that. So I just depends, like, girlfriend and wife duties are different to me, I should say. So I can't really describe the difference between them other than bigger roles, as in like investing money or bringing me around the family, like your deep immediate family and things like that. Like, if we boyfriend and girlfriend, I think we should, like, you might be able to bring me around the family, but if your intentions is not to keep me around for good, or not even for good, but to get married, I don't think I need to necessarily be around the family, because then I'm around your family and they might be thinking, oh, what happened to such and such? What happened to so and so? Things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a take, Ron?
Girlfriend duties, wife duties. So you're talking about cooking and cleaning and sharing bills. If you guys are together, whether you're girlfriend and boyfriend, or wife and husband, I think you're supposed to do that together.
I agree. See, there's a word that's called prerequisites, right? A prerequisite is how you're going to get conditioned or what you're going to do first prior to doing something else. So let's use school, for instance. So in order to get to college, you need to first be in high school. In order to be in high school, you need to first go to junior high. In order to be in junior high, you need to first be in elementary, and so on. Right? Now, those are all prerequisite. You can't wake up and you're 10 and you're in elementary and you say, you're going to go to college unless you're a genius. Right? Then that's different. But that anomaly is far and few in between, right? So there are always prerequisites to everything. So if a man and a woman are in a relationship, or when a man and a woman are in a relationship, and it's not a manipulationship, what she do to move that relationship along, or what he would do to move that relationship along, they're a prerequisite to the next stage. It's kind of like you meet each other, you go out on dates, get to know each other. That's a prerequisite to being in a relationship. You're in a relationship and you start doing certain things together. That's a prerequisite to be engaged. You're engaged and you're doing certain things. That's a prerequisite to being married. So everything have a prerequisite.
Okay.
So when a man and a woman in a relationship and she cooks, and let's say they're not living together, and she cooks, he's going to see that like, wow, she cooked for me.
She's wife material.
He's going to automatically, she's wife material. Now, what's going to be fantastic about that, if she calls him up one day and say, hey, honey, or all right, babe, or hey, big Ed, you know, hey, big Ed, like, right? And they call and say, hey, did you eat? No, I didn't eat. All right. See you later. All right, talk to you soon. And then she comes over and she brings food.
Wow.
And the food is not in a styrofoam plate. It's in an actual plate. And did you stop at the grocery store and did you buy something at a restaurant? No, I got off of work, or I left. I was with my girls, and I decided, you said you were hungry, so I went home and I prepared something to eat, and I came over and bring it to you. Your heart is going to go from boom, boom, boom to boom, 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 boom. It's going to start beating more for her, and your mind is going to start, wow, prerequisite. She saw in you something that she wants, right? And she sees in you that you would be the guy that will make her happy without just being yourself. So she cooked. Now, I've had this experience, right? I've had a few experiences. Like I said, you're 25, so I'm 4 times older than you. I'm 100 years old, you know. So I have a lot of stories, right? So, hey, Clyde. So I'm going to mention about a story I think I mentioned to you before, right? And I think you have a story that you're going to you can fill in there, right? But let's see, right? So I'm going to tell you about the good relationship I experienced and the not so good. Do I have some regrets about the not so good one? Yes. All right. So I was with this person, and we started dating. And she called me up one day and she said, "Hey, did you eat?" I said, I'm going to give you the experience that not so good first, right? Was kind of good, but not so good. She said, "Hey, did you eat?" I was like, "No, I'm, sitting around the desk. I'm doing some work. I have a report to return to give to a client, right? I was trying to raise some money and I had 2 people I was working with. One of them was a client, so I had to prepare some documents for this client to be able to give it to the other client. So in that transaction, I would get a piece of that money, right?" So she calls me and she said, "Hey, did you eat?" I was like, "No." I said, "Okay." She said, "Okay." She said, "Do you want me to stop at the store and get something?" I said, No. I'll go out and I'll get something. But you have this assignment to do." I was like, "Yeah, I have this assignment to do, but I'll go and get something later on." So she got off of work and she called me and she said, "Hey, I can stop and get something and make something, prepare something for you." So I said, "Okay, sure. So what do you want?" I said, "I don't eat meat, so prepare something that if you're gonna prepare something that you think I would eat." She said, "All right, cool." So maybe about an hour and a half went by and she came over and I let her in. And normally when she walks through the door, would kiss, peck on the lip. But she walked through the door and I leaned in to get a peck on the lip and she turned her face sideways. I'm like, "What's with that?" Then she threw the plate down and slid it like this, bim, on the table in the kitchen, not the table, but the counter in the kitchen. Don't ever ask me to do this shit again.
Wow.
I said, what?
Crazy.
I said, I didn't ask you to do this. You offered to do it, right? But even though I offered to do it, you could have said no. I said, but I told you I would have gone and get something to eat. You decided you want to do it, right? And she was a great person. I'm not going to lie.
She felt obligated that she had to do that.
I didn't obligate her. I didn't put her in that position to feel obligated, right? But she threw it down on the counter, and when she did that, all the feeling that I was having for her, mine, I should have prefaced that by saying this: I'd not too long gotten out of a long-term 5-year, 7 months relationship to be exact, right? And so when she did that, I was 7-8 months out of this relationship, and you know, when you're in a relationship for a while, you're thinking about, should I continue with the next person, you know, or should I just be free for a while? But when she did that, I switched. It's like something changed in me, right? And she would go out, ask me to come with her. She worked for the government at the time, and she had saved up a lot of money to buy a home. And in her mind, she was going to buy this house, and she was going to buy a 3-bedroom house. So one of them is going to be my office. One of them is going to be a spare bedroom for when family come over. And one of them is going to be our bedroom. That's what she had in her mind. I was all with it, right? Until she did that. And no matter how many times we went out and looked at properties, I could not switch it back on for her because she did that, right? Later on, as I'm seen her over the years after that, I said, I should have stayed with her because the situation that I'm in right now, or the ones I've had after her, was far worse. I could have just simply explained that to her and we would have worked it out. But because of the long-term situation that I was in before, and then when she did this, in my finite mind, I didn't think that communication would have just resolved that issue. On the other side now, on the other person, I started dating this person, and she came over, and I'd gotten in the shower because we were supposed to go out. So it was kind of like, I think it was like 8 p.m. But I've been sitting on the computer the whole day working, and I forgot to eat, right? And I got off the computer and went to take a shower because I know she was coming over, so I unlocked the door. And I'm in the shower. When I came out the shower, the bed was spread. I was like, wow. Did you do this? She said, who else? Right? I went in the kitchen to get something to drink. I said, hey, you want something to drink? She said, no, I'm good. There's something for you on the counter. She went in the kitchen, went in the counter. At that time, I buy canned food and stuff like canned meats, like tuna. She opened the tuna, opened a can of oyster, mixed it together, went in the fridge, take out the lettuce and tomato and onions and cut them up and made a sandwich, like, you know, a nice stacked sandwich. I had it on the counter and poured the drink out and have it sitting in the fridge, right? Yeah, I mean, that right there was the beginning of me saying, this is the one I want to be with. Fast forward, I should have stayed with the one before. Right? Because it was kind of a setup, right? Because I was conditioned to think that she was this great person, right? But I say that to say this. It was a prerequisite for me deciding to be in a relationship with her, right? So everything have a prerequisite. So when a woman says, I am not going to do wife duties as a girlfriend, I think that's the biggest bullshit a woman could say.
I agree.
You know, to any man, right? Or to anyone, because there's always something you have to do to advance any relationship
Yes.
that you're in, whether it's a platonic relationship, a romantic relationship, or a business relationship. Do you guys agree?
I
Clyde.
Totally.
Yeah. I was thinking of Bill Burr line, like one of the stand-up shows. He says, "Ladies, you want to see your man happy? Just make him a sandwich he didn't ask for.
Yes.
That's deep.
Absolutely.
Yes. Exactly.
Don't just frisbee it at him. You know, like make sure you cut it diagonally. You know." And he wasn't even asking for much. Like he was saying, like just once a season. You know, like once every 3 months. That's not a lot of work.
No, it's definitely not a lot of work. Yeah, but that's how we should operate, men to women and women to men. All right, so I went on a rant there, right? But let's go to the next question, right? Do you think that society panders to women? By and large, do you think society panders to women? If yes, why? And if no, why?
Let me start off with this one. I think it panders to women, and one of the biggest indicators of that is the fact that women cannot be criticized. You cannot criticize women. Like it's very easy to criticize men. Nobody will say anything. You know, like we're criticized in movies, in songs, and pretty much everything, literature. But if we do the same thing to women, like everybody loses their mind. You get canceled. You know, like you can't criticize women. You can't say anything bad about them, even if they're misbehaving. If what they're doing is actually bad, you can't call it out. You know, it's hidden in movies, for example. Like for example, the most recent, the Barbie movie. You know, it openly discredits men, but it makes at the same time it makes women look as if they're angels and they can do no wrong. I think that's pandering. That's an indicator of pandering, of that it's they're seen as angels. I think the word is infantilization.
Yes, they're seen as children. Like they're
Right.
still
Right.
infantilization. Yeah, they're still seen as children, and hence they should be treated as such and be given what they want. That's why they can kick and go rant, and they can slap a man in their face, or they can slap a police officer in his face, and it's like they think they're entitled to get away with physical abuse on men. And
well, the most recent, the brick lady.
right, the brick lady. Have you
she
guys
was-
familiar with the brick lady? Oh,
No.
Clyde, let's,
No, I'm
you
not.
can go
Yeah,
with.
she.
Never heard about it.
So she, the video came out that kind of like went viral. She was abused by some men.
She claims she was.
She claims she was abused, and there was a whole bunch of men around her, and nobody stepped in
Oh.
to protect her.
I know a video.
yeah,
you're talking
yeah,
about,
yeah.
And
I know
then
videos.
some people did videos on her, like that story went viral, and it came out that there was other videos that she had made where she was openly just assaulting men, just slapping them, and they didn't retaliate or anything. They just stood there, and took
Right.
it. And so anyways, when those videos came out, nobody felt bad for her anymore.
And came to find out that it was all a lie. She actually pumped saline in her face to make it seem like she got hit with a brick. There was no abrasions on her, no lacerations on her, and she just did that so she could raise money from GoFundMe.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Right.
That's wild. I didn't know
And now
that.
she's on the investigation, right? So they do pander to women. And Clyde, the points that you make are actually really good. They do pander to women. In from my vantage point, what say you guys?
I'm gonna go last.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm
Let's
holding,
crisscross.
I'm holding something.
Let's
back.
crisscross. Since I talk, Clyde talk. Let's You talk. Big one.
Ask the question one more time again.
Do you think society panders to women? If yes, why? And if no, why?
Yes, because like Clyde said, you can't criticize women. You can't really tell them no or tell them to fix something because they always gonna clap back with, oh well, men do this or you guys do this. Why can't we do this? And you know they think they can get away with not everything but everything, just because of their women.
Yeah. And Caesar?
Yes, I would say it does. And one of the reasons I would say is because the economy, they're 80% of the consumer spending.
We're going to get there soon. It's on the list.
That's a good
So,
point, yeah.
I mean, if you want this consumer to spend, you know, these are corporations that are doing these things. This is not like everybody say Illuminati, this and that, da da da. This is corporations that are putting marketing strategies in place to get the women to be and do certain things.
Let's not get
Social
too far.
media.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll get there. Let's not get too far, right? But we're right. We're right. Hey. Were you peeping on the notes? All right. So I'm gonna read a statistic, right? And I looked this up because it's part of it's becoming a serious crisis across the world. There are a lot of women that are being single. Go back to I don't need no man, right? The part of the reason why they say I don't need no man, but I'm going to say this, and I've said it quite a bit. Clyde, I've heard me said it. Other people have heard me said it. Spell woman.
W man.
Exactly. So even in the word woman, the word man exists.
From the womb of man.
Womb, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Or our woman is a man with a womb, right?
Yeah.
Right.
From my
because
rib.
because when you talk about man, right? They said man was created first, right? And from man came woman, right? Came a man with a womb that can bear a child. So WOMB is womb, right? MAN. Shorten that. It's a promantu. Take two words, make one. A promantu, right? It's kind of like the word blog. It's web log. Web log is too long. So what they did, they chopped off. They took out a letter, right? So rather say web log, you say blog. Rather you say womb man. You can't saying womb man. You're gonna bite your tongue, right? It's a tongue twister. So you just take out the M because there's an M already there for man. So you know you have one M, and you take out the B, woman. So you have man, that natural, born with a womb that can bear children, woman, right? So even in the word woman, you have man, but they say I don't need no man. So a lot of women call themselves ladies, right? But in the past, the word lady was usually referred to upper class woman, upper echelon woman. But nowadays, all women are considered themselves ladies. When that's actually of nobility, right? That we can expound on that further another time, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So the statistic says, because of what's going on in the world, but we're going to talk about one of the financial firms did some statistic, actually the financial firm and actually the Bureau of Labor and Statistics in the United States, right? So it says, in 2018, single women made up 41% of working women in that age range, right? So the age range is I'm going to tell you 25 to 44. So so let me read that again. In 2008, single women made up 41% of women in that working age, which is 25 to 44. Now, they are estimating, right, based on the Bureau of Statistics and one of the financial firm, saying that by 2030, 45% up, 4% from 41 to 45. By 2030, 45% of working women aged 25 to 44 in the United States will be single and childless. Oof. Now, as we said before, and Clyde and I had a discussion a few months back where we're talking about man versus woman, but we know that women outnumber man, not just because more women are being born. There are a lot of men that are gay, right? A lot of men that are incarcerated, right? And a lot of men that decided they're going their own way, right? They don't want to be bothered anymore with the nonsense that society has perpetuated women to do against men. So, according to research from, I'm going to tell the financial firm now, according to research from Morgan Stanley, using data from the Bureau of Statistics, women are the biggest consumers and biggest shoppers. And by 2030, their spending ability contributing to them working and making more than men. At one point, I saw statistics said it's going to be about $10 trillion. But here they have it that working women contribute more than $7 trillion to the American economy. Think about it globally. We're talking about probably like $40 trillion globally, right? So go back to the question, do you think society panders to women more? The answer is definitely yes, because of these statistics. Statistics, right? So what's your feedback? Clyde, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually gonna talk about like the percentage why that's going up. I mean, obviously it has to do with the fact that what's being pushed in society, that they don't need no man. Like the whole feminist ideology is that a woman is strong and independent, all on her own, and she doesn't really need to. You don't need a two-person household. Like they can do bad all by themselves. Essentially, that's how they think about this.
You know what?
Yeah,
I'm happy. You said that. Because it just trigger old memory. Before, women used to say, "I can do bad all by myself." Before they used to say, "I don't need a man," they used to say, "I can do bad all by myself." Do you guys remember? Do you remember? You're not too young to remember. I know you were just born this morning, but you're not too young to never heard that.
Nah, I heard it before.
Yeah. So, yeah. Continue, Clyde.
Yeah. So, what this attributes to, essentially, the fact that they think like that, they're more likely to leave relationships, and because let's face it, since women are the selectors of our species, they're essentially ranking up their own numbers here. Like they're ending up with 45%, but it's them who are making the choice to not be in a relationship.
Right.
Women a lot of times, because they'll say that it's the guy sometimes who leaves, and they end up single not through their own decision making. But even in that situation, even if the guy leaves, it was still them who chose that person who ends up leaving them.
Absolutely.
But oftentimes when a guy leaves, it's not because the guy wants to leave. All right. If you think about, let's use a car, right? Why would a person choose a Mercedes-Benz over a Toyota?
The brand.
They get the same place, right? They can get you from point A to point B relatively easy, right?
You get more girls with the Benz.
You get more, of course, you get more advantages with the opulence, right? But when a woman said a man leaves, they take no accountability for their part. It's always the man.
Yep.
A woman will disgrace a man to her friends, to her family, to her co-workers. So by the time the relationship ends,
The man is bad.
the man is bad, right? Not knowing that she is the viper.
Yep.
Not knowing that she is the one that have borderline personality disorder or histrionic personality. If a man goes to work and he starts talking bad about his wife, one or two things are going to happen. They're going to look at him as a softy. This guy's worthless, or some woman at work is going to feel sorry for him and start giving him
what he needs.
what he's missing. She's going to fill the gap of what the wife is doing. While on the other hand, wife or girlfriend, she is going to be disgracing him with everybody, right? And you will never know that she's doing that because she's doing it at work, so you won't hear. She's doing it when you're at work or out over the phone, so you won't hear, right? She's doing it with her family when she goes over, so you won't hear. And when it's all said and done, they're going to start saying, "Oh, he's a piece of shit. He's this and he's that and he's worthless." And you're like, "What? Really? All of that? You didn't tell him what you were doing? You didn't tell him that you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that." And by the time you figure everything out,
The relationship's over.
the relationship is over and you're the bad guy, right? And there will be no accountability on her part. Because why? She manipulated all of the narrative, right? Like if a man do that, I personally look at a man as an asshole. Like, why would you do that to a woman, right? I remember when I was young and my parents were having issues, and my mom used to come and tell me my father's doing this and my father's doing that. Naturally, as a son, I'm going against him, right? Because I want to protect mommy. But I didn't know that mommy was the one that was the bad guy until I learned. And a lot of us men, we learn later on that our mothers is the bad guy, right? But we as children or family members or co-workers, we don't get the two-sided story. So I develop a way now saying, "Hey, what part did you play?" I remember I asked someone, she called me. She was like, "Hey, Soshahi, my boyfriend, he did this." I was like, "Really? Why did he do that?" "What do you mean, why did he do that?" "Tell me exactly what you did first, and then you can tell me what he did." Right?
Those are more like therapy. Like when you go for therapy, that's what a therapist does. Like they don't necessarily talk about what the other person did to you. They talk more. They ask you questions like how did you feel in the relationship? What did you do? What did you say? Like how were you experiencing the other person? And that is essentially the part where you take accountability for the things that you did. Because, I mean, it's 50-50, right? Like you represent 50% of the relationship.
Right.
You're the other person. It can't just be that the other person just did things out of the blue in a vacuum of space.
Right.
It's a back and forth, and I think therapy helps women or men, I guess, take accountability for the decisions and the things that they did in a relationship, you know, and you can hear it after something. Let's say a relationship goes wrong and they split up. If the person takes accountability and says that, yes, I messed up, like I was doing a lot, I was being argumentative, I had a big ego, you know, like I kept pushing the person, I was jealous, you know, like I was insecure. If they say that, then they're more likely to pick, you know, a relationship that works out in the future because they see those things, you know. If they don't do that, if they just blame the other person, that's a sign that most likely they'll end up in the same situation with a future partner.
And the cycle continues.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Definitely true. Because, and I was... I often do some reading and some research when, you know, we're going to do shows or just kind of like be more abreast on what's going on. And a lot of psychologists are in that pander mindset too. So many times, not all, but a lot, especially the feminist psychologists, two people will be in a relationship naturally, and the woman will go to the psychologist. The man will go to the psychologist.
You talking about like a marriage counselor or something?
Yeah, like a marriage counselor.
Okay.
Right? And they'll tell both of them to come. And I've actually went to a counselor with a prior relationship. And every time I try to speak, my former girlfriend would cut me off. The counselor would ask a question. It was two, a male and a female counselor. The counselor would ask a question, and I opened my mouth to answer. She answered the question for me. So one of the counselors says to her, when are you going to give him a chance to speak? Right? And she looked at the counselor like, how dare you? Right? So the guy said, Garth, go ahead and speak. And the woman counselor says, I'm not going to call her name. The woman counselor says, please allow him to speak. Right? And she says, I'm ready to go.
She ain't trying to hear it.
Right? And a second, we had some conversations, and I was able to say a few things, not open up. We were supposed to go back for a second meeting, right? And we end up not going back for the second meeting. Why? Because they asked her to stop talking, stop cutting me off. And they immediately saw that she was the one that was the misandrist. You guys know what misandrist means, right? She was the one that was a misandrist. She had this hatred towards men, even though she wanted men. So oftentimes, women that with that mentality, they learn that in college. Sometimes they'll grow up and they'll be conditioned like that based on the relationship that they see with their parents, right? Or their parents' their friends' parents. But you were going to say something?
Yeah. I'm going to play the devil's advocate.
I see horns growing already.
Now, okay. Women are very complicated. Okay?
Right.
Far more complicated than us.
Yeah, we're simple.
We're simple. We're easy. Baby, what do you want to eat? Whatever you want to eat. Okay.
I know where that's going.
Okay. So we have to work harder to please the woman. In a relationship, you want a woman, right? You have to court her. Okay. You have to court the woman. In a homosexual relationship, they don't court. They're like, let's go. Because it's two men.
Right.
Okay? So we are easy as males.
Right.
Okay? Females are complicated. I have this one female, fine as hell, I used to work with. I mean, body, everything. One time she came to work with, she didn't come, she came to the job because she was going to a club to use the bathroom. And she had this tight dress on. I mean, I was like, God damn.
Blah.
Yeah. But as fine as she is, she can't keep a man.
Mm.
We were close. All the relationships that she's been in, she would tell me about that. But when you come in the morning, you don't know if you should say hello to her or good morning. And when you do say good morning, she don't want to speak to you. Yeah, it's too early for this. So
too early to say good morning. So what's the morning for?
And when you don't say good morning, I didn't sleep with you last night. You can't say good morning. So it's like you don't know. So you just. And then after learning her for a while, I realized that she's raising 2 daughters. Okay, she's gonna make those daughters just like her.
Just like her.
Okay, and those type of feelings are genetic. That angry. Men haven't been so good to women from the beginning of time.
I disagree.
Yeah, whoa.
I disagree.
Okay, allow me to.
Go ahead.
Okay, now, men, we fight a lot. We fight over money. We fight over women. We fight over religion. We fight over land. Okay, and every time there's a war, what's the number one thing that we do? Go and rape the women. Every war. You go to Haiti right now. Women are getting raped because it's lawless.
Change that.
Grapes.
Yeah, change that to a different word because these social
Taken advantage of.
Right.
Okay. Now, women have always been the one with no opportunities. Women weren't allowed to go to school. There's certain countries where women can't go to school. In the Middle East. Okay. Women have always been like the second-class citizen. Look with the.
You think women can go to school in the Middle East?
They weren't allowed to.
Okay.
Okay. They were. The father has to pick the husband. Okay. Certain cultures, a lot of cultures, women are second-class citizens. In China, you can have 1 point something child. If it's a female, usually they killed it because they want a male.
They not anymore. They've changed that.
Okay, so I'm going to history how women now when they decided.
Hold that thought. Let me correct you on something. They didn't do that about the one-child rule because of women couldn't. They were restricting women. They were doing it so they could slow the population growth down because they were being overpopulated. So
right. So my point with that is if a family would have a daughter, they would destroy that daughter because they want a male.
They would delete that child.
Yeah. So you go back to American history when African Americans were given the right to vote. Okay, it wasn't African Americans, it wasn't black people, it was black men. Black men was voting before white women until the 19th Amendment. So when women has look at the all of politics, first time in the history of how many years of presidency we have a female president and vice president. Men has always ruled the world.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're very wrong.
No.
You're very wrong.
So
did you know that they had queens that ran empires? Did you know that they had a woman king?
Few and far in between. But for the most part, we might have a female executive, but the man is always going to be the one on top.
All right, pause for a second. You mind if I?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And I think you were saying wrong, right? You were agreeing with me, right? All right. So let's put some perspective to this, because see where you're going, and I'm not saying I disagree, but I'm not also saying I'm also saying I don't necessarily agree with you wholeheartedly, right?
I understand.
There are certain aspects. There's certain aspects of agreements and disagreements. Right. When a man is a king of a monarchy, right? He rules an empire, right? And he goes out to conquer. Why is he going out to conquer? And is it a king alone that's making this decree for war? Or his senators, his bankers, the financier, who are the ones?
And his queen too.
You see what you just said? A lot of the time, when men go out to war, it's to do one thing: to impress the woman. Right? Do you know who Napoleon is?
Napoleon Bonaparte, yeah.
Short guy. you know that he was in his 20s when he got married. He was very young when he got married, right? And he got married to an older woman. And that older woman, I think she was like 36, 37. And I think he was like 23, 24, something like maybe 25, right? I think it was fairly on the younger 20s. But he was a genius when it comes to putting war strategies together.
Yeah, he conquered the world.
Right. But it wasn't him alone that was doing that. He had bankers. He had people. He had financiers that wanted war. And who was this war benefiting? Just him alone?
No.
Or other people with vast amount of wealth at that time? And when they go out and conquer, they all the spoils goes to the winner, right? Mm-hmm. They get all the jewels, they get all the treasures, they take the palace, they take the finest woman, they take everything, right? Because that's the spoils of war, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when he was going to war, oftentimes he was going to impress the woman that he wants, that he loves. Even though she was cheating on him. He would write her tons of letters every day. This strategist would take time out of his day to write letters to her, but she wouldn't write any letters back to him. Maybe once in a blue moon.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Who was Napoleon Bonaparte's wife?
The one I'm just talking about.
What's her name?
I don't remember her.
There you go. Okay, they don't get the credit.
Wait a second.
Napoleon Bonaparte goes down in history forever, but who's his wife?
But I know of her.
Yeah,
I know of her. I know what she was doing, and I know that lots of the things that he was doing it was for her. He started out being he's a brilliant guy,
yeah.
But he started out with strategies for war, and he got promoted fairly quickly till he started.
Right, so everything was about him. Even he got the credit for everything.
So you don't think women get credit for anything?
They do. They manipulate men, and I know all the presidents when they're laying down with their wife, they're talking about everything.
Pillow talk.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and she could whisper something in his ear, baby, I think you should do this, and more than likely he's gonna do it.
Listen,
but
a man, as man, most men are in higher power. The CEOs are most men start biggest companies. Companies that's been around for hundreds of years, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But don't believe that their wives didn't have something to say. When you say women weren't allowed to read, their wives could read.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The lower classes of people weren't allowed to read. So when you say women weren't allowed to read, I agree, but I also disagree because it's based on context.
Right. Okay. Men got everything before women.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, naturally, because man came before woman, according to the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So women have the biggest power of spending power. Okay. So, of course, I'm going to cater to get her money because it's all about money. So we're trying to manipulate the woman to get her money.
Can I jump in? Like, because I was thinking, I was trying to put the two together, right? Like what you were saying before, that you prefer going 50-50, and times have changed. You said, and you expect women to bring the same amount to the table as a man does. Mm-hmm. But there has been. And still going on, I guess, a general narrative, and about the patriarchy, the fact that men rule the world, that everything that we own, most of the things are owned by men essentially, and that women have essentially gotten the short end of the stick throughout history. And I'm thinking that a lot of women don't want to do the 50-50 thing because they are. As a form of vindictiveness, as in, we've gotten the short end of the stick throughout history, so now it's our turn to rule. So they're not doing the 50-50 thing anymore. You see what I'm saying?
That makes a lot of sense. But to add to that, a lot of women are making more money than men. Okay, now I was just distracted. Yeah, a lot of women are making more money than men. Okay, so whether they like it or not, or they're conditioned or not, they need to be reconditioned. Okay, that is 50-50. Yeah, you got the short end of the stick in history. Now we've moved on. It's the same way that, you know, certain race of people can't continue blaming other people. This is a new time now. Now we have to move on. It's 50-50, or there's plenty of women out there.
You know why I say, because it doesn't really follow. Like, I've looked at certain things. The narrative says that, you know, it's, you know, women were abused in the past,
Yeah.
and but it doesn't make any sense from a logical perspective. Like, when you think about it, like, there are certain events that have happened. For example, like, I looked up death statistics of the Titanic, which, you know, the reason why I looked at that is because it happened 100 years ago. And if, you know, the narrative was to be true, then most men would have survived the Titanic, and most women would have died during the accident.
Why is that? Because the men were being chivalrous?
Just because we're stronger, like, we would have beaten them to the life raft.
Yeah.
Okay, but the whole women and children first, you know, like, it's actually true. Like, I think 80% of men died, and only 20% of women died. So 80% of women actually survived. Women survived at a higher rate than children. Children survived at about 50%. So 50% of children made it. This happens because of infantilization. You know, like, we hold them like deities, you know. But this doesn't fall in line with the narrative. You know, like, what were we? Did we abuse them? Did we see them as lesser than ourselves? Or did we treat them... Okay, so if we saw them like that, shouldn't we have survived, like, men, I mean, at a higher rate? Like, how does the women and children first fit with the narrative of us being abusers and just, you know, treating them badly? Like, I don't understand the two things. One of them must be wrong. Like, either the narrative is wrong, or, you know, like, the narrative is correct, but then reality doesn't back it up. You know, like the...
Yeah, I understand, but it shouldn't be women and children first. Okay, it should be just like the example about being on the plane. You have a baby and the oxygen mask falls. Who do you put it on first?
Yourself.
Yourself. Okay, the strong person. It's like, I have to eat. I can't feed you if I'm dying of starvation. I have to eat first, and then. So what should have happened in the Titanic? The men should have gotten on the boats and then brought the women in, not just put them in. They survived, but the men could have. It could have been more men alive if they thought about themselves, because they're, at the end of the day, I'm not being sexist or anything, but it's the men that's going to keep them alive. Just like it's the mother or the father that puts the oxygen mask on himself first, that's going to keep that baby alive. If you put it on the baby and you die, what happens to the baby now? So
your point has some validity to it. It's received with understanding, right? However, the reason why women and children are always put first or placed in the first position is because women bear children. Children are the next generation. So hence is why women and children. You or I, right, can go out and for every day of the week, once we keep ourselves in good health and condition, for every day of the week, we can go out and impregnate a new woman. So 365 days of the year, we can impregnate a woman and have 365 children being born 9-10 months later, right? A woman can only carry one child if twins or triplet runs in the family, and she's that lucky because she can have one delivery and bring life to 2 or 3 children, that's great. One time, one and done, she's good. But if she can only carry one child, or one child for 9 months, while that one guy can have 365 babies.
Right, I agree with that. So it shouldn't be women and children first. Maybe it should be 2 men and women and children, because you need that man in order to have that, to impregnate that women. You can't just throw all the women, save all the women, and kill all the men.
But logically, we're not going to think that. You're in a relationship right now, right?
Yes.
If you're walking on the street, let's paint a scenario here.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking on the street, the sidewalk. The outer skirts of the sidewalk is closer to the road where the cars pass.
Mm-hmm.
The inner is where the buildings are, stores, right? Let's do it like that, right? Or closer to the, on the inside. Where are you going to walk? On the inside or on the outside?
Well,
no. There's one answer.
No, I'm going to tell you.
Inside or outside?
Naturally, I'm going to walk on the outside because
why?
Because I'm going to protect my woman from the danger.
Pause for right there. So, even though in your logical mind you're thinking that it should be more men than women, I disagree. It should be more women than men. Because if
no, I didn't say it should be more man than woman. I said it in that Titanic scenario, it shouldn't be let's save all the women and children. Let's save 2 men and all the women. No, because the 2 men can populate.
It was dependent on how many seats were available
but you can't give all the seats to the women.
Well,
like Leonardo DiCaprio, he could have survived.
Yeah, but that's just a depiction of what happened with the Titanic.
But
right?
It was a true story. He could have survived, but he froze there. No, man, I'm jumping in with you. I'm taking one of those.
No, actually, I would say it was an accurate description of what actually happened, because as it turns out, reality, like facts, point out that it was mostly men who died.
Yeah,
during the Titanic, and not only that, but during the construction phase of the Titanic. It demanded the lives of 8 people, and 3 of which were never found, and the other 5 all had male names, so they were all men. So the not only did men die constructing the Titanic, they also died once it hit the iceberg and it started to sink. It was still men that did the dying. So in wars, it's just how things are. It's the word for it is gynocentric. We live in a gynocentric society. So if you place value on the female by infantilizing her, by holding her up like women and children first, then by action and reaction laws of physics, essentially, you devalue the lives of males. So when there's a war, who are those men, those CEOs they're gonna send to war? They're not gonna send women to war. They're gonna send men to war. So men do all the dying.
Well, that's because again, I'm not sexist or anything, but if I'm at war and I'm fighting, I'd rather have a man by my side because the men are stronger naturally, no matter what.
All right, okay. I'm so happy. Thank you, Clyde. I'm so happy because it brings it back in full circle. Mm-hmm. You said earlier that women historically never got any credit. And I said to you, why? Because the answer to that was when a man does something, he's doing it for the woman. Mm-hmm. When a man jump off the Titanic, right, to jump in that boat, one man so he can bring the woman on, 10 men on the ship, taking the woman, putting the woman on that boat. They're willing to give their lives to make sure that those women save and that one man is saved. Because if it's 10 women, let's not even include the children, 10 women, and one man is left on that boat, and those were the only woman and that one man on that boat, and everybody else in society was on the Titanic, what would happen to the population of the world? Don't answer yet. Let's reverse it. 10 men in the boat, right? 1 woman.
That wouldn't work.
What would happen to the population of the world?
Well, if you had
No.
okay, my bad.
What
my
would
bad.
happen to the population if 10 men was on the boat and 1 woman versus
It would dwindle. It would die.
would die? So this is why women and children will always be first. This is why a man will always go to war. And with what you just said, that you'd prefer a man be by your side than a woman, because a man is inherently stronger. That's how we're built, inherently stronger. Women, not saying women are weak, but a man that's 50 pounds can take down a woman that's 100 pounds.
I absolutely agree.
Right?
Absolutely.
So naturally, you want a man by your side. There was a sport I was watching where they put a woman that's a professional wrestler with an amateur wrestler half her age. What do you think happened?
It was a male?
Yes,
Oh, he whipped her ass.
exactly what happened. Right? So, women, in terms of you saying women were always put in the background, I don't disagree. Right? Look at what's going on in society right now. Know that we are in a gynocentric society where women are pandered to. They can't do any wrong. If we say A, B, and they say C, D, E, F, G, right? Or let me rephrase that. If we say A, B, C, and they say X, Y, M, and we say no, it's not X, Y, M, it's X, Y, Z or X, Y, Z if you're in a different part of the world. Mm-hmm. They said X, Y, M, and we correct them. What will happen to us?
We're looked upon as no good.
Because we're saying that it's X, Y, Z,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying it's X, Y, M. But because we're correcting them, and I use that as an extreme, because if we correct a woman in this society that we're living in right now, even if we know something is in front of us, what we're seeing, they will gaslight us. All the panderers, all the feminists, male and female, they will come at us, right? Mm-hmm. Some will want to physically assault us, right? And like you said earlier, mental assault is far more damaging than physical. You possibly you can heal from some physical damage,
Yep.
but mental, that conditioning will make you operate like a person that's suffering from what's the word I'm looking for?
Schizophrenia?
No, not schizophrenia.
Bipolar disorder?
No, none of that. It's when a person is taken, locked away, or something has happened to them. They, come on, brain. It'll come back to me, but I say to them. So a person will come in defense of their captors. They'll come in defense of their abuser, right?
Yeah.
Once they're conditioned to think that their abuser is in their best benefit, right? So when we as men go to war, we go into war not just for ourselves. When we as men hop off a ship or put one of us off our ship into a boat and then take 10 women and 10 children, is because we're not thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about the bigger picture. We're thinking about society in a whole. Because as human beings, our primal instinct is to survive. At all cost, we want to preserve the race of human beings. Let me throw another piece in the puzzle. Right now, society, men and women are fighting. And we know that that's an agenda, why men and women are fighting. And it has nothing to do with race, as it's called. white man, black man, yellow man, blue man, green man, whatever colors that we're called, right? There is all kind of different divisive ways to keep us as human being fighting colorism, politics, sexism, identity issues, all of these things to keep us perpetually fighting against each other. What will change that would make us all come together at once in an instant? What would have to happen for every human being on this planet to come together cohesively, immediately? What would have to happen?
If we all have the equal amount of money.
Absolutely wrong. I disagree. I'm going to tell you, and I think everybody in this will go along with what I'm going to say. Clyde is Caucasian.
Is he?
Society would say he's white. You and I in the studio, we're Nubians, or African diaspora. Society would say we're black, right? And agendas out there keeps us fighting. Divisive agendas keep us fighting. Like I referenced before, male and female, man and woman, woman against woman. It's all this identity issues, and identify with a certain clan or certain group or certain a certain class, a certain culture. But let's say a UFO just come and park in the sky over each continent. What would humanity immediately do?
Get together.
Get together. All of the divisiveness that's going on, we wouldn't have it anymore, because we want to know who is that, what or who are those supernatural beings parked in the sky, floating in a UFO, in a ship in the sky, just sitting there. Mm-hmm. Let's say they sat there for a day. Everybody's going to be in an uproar. Do you see that? One is over North America, one is over South America, one is over China, one is over Japan, one is over Australia, one is over Africa. Maybe Africa is so big, 2 over Africa, but they're all over. One day, the news is going to perpetuate. This past Wednesday, they tested nationally all our cell phones, all consumer cell phones.
Yeah, I noticed
with
that.
the alert.
Yeah.
They did that in Europe, I think in Britain earlier on this year, right?
About 220.
Yeah, it's been going. It's going to go on across the world, where every consumer cell phone, and they can override the tone, the volume on the phone. So if you had your phone on silent, it will still sound. They can override that, right? That will go off. So social media, phones, traditional media, everything will be heightened, and everybody will be talking, because there are UFOs parked in the sky. Humanity will stop the bullshit. We will stop arguing. Now, 1 day, 2 day, nothing happened. 3 day, a week, then all of a sudden a door opens and you see small ships start coming out, like drones, circulating the planet, watching everything, recording everything, right? Now, think back now to male and female, right? Women come together to fight against men. Men fight against man because of the color of our skin. Men go to war because they want to conquer and gain more. They want to control the world. So, one event happened and the entire human species stopped the bullshit about you're black, you're white, you're yellow, you're green, you're brown, you're purple. They stop it all. That's women and children. Women and children, if they cease to exist, we cease to exist. So when you say that women have not gotten any control, or they were always on the back burner, in some societies, it's done by design that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The eastern part of the world is done by design that way, where their women know naturally they have to be feminine and not a feminist. Look at what's going on in the Western world, that we're now, I believe, fourth wave feminism. Look what's going on, right? All of us are in the studio having discussion about modern woman versus traditional woman. Years ago, as men, we would have these discussions in the bars, in the pubs, in the barbershops, right? We'll have this discussion. You remember when Uncle Bob, I'm just joking, Uncle Bob was like, hey, my wife is doing this and my wife is doing that. And Johnny was like, really, Uncle? Yes. When you grow older, make sure your wife don't do this and make sure your wife don't do that. But it was never as bad as what's going on right now.
That's true. Yeah.
Never, right? Because, go ahead.
I think the women now, they feel like they have the rights. They want more.
You know why? Because it's not about rights. It's not just about rights. Yeah, rightfully so. Women want rights. But it's not just about right. I use the UFO as a reference.
That was good.
To thank you. I use the UFO as a reference so I could go back to it moving forward. Right? Women don't want just rights. Women want to control men. Look at what's going on. It's not about right. They want equality of outcome, not equality in the workplace. If you correct a woman, you're a misogynist. You're controlling. Right? Parts of the world, women know that they have to be a certain way because their society is not going to stand for it. In the Western world, women got all the rights. Nothing is wrong with that. Many women know that they have a certain duty, because when you're in a relationship and you have children, it's not about you. It's about the duty of the relationship and the duty of the children and the duty of both people in the relationship. And what's your religion?
Well, I was born Seventh-day Adventist. Now
You weren't born a Seventh-day Adventist. You were born a person, and you were made a Seventh-day
yeah,
Adventist.
since I was.
Okay.
But I strayed away from it.
And you Decon?
Christian.
And you?
I was raised Christian.
You were raised Christian. So was I. I was baptized 7 times, 7 different denominations.
Wow.
Right? The reason why I gave it up was because of the contention, the manipulation, the lying, right? Certain aspects of it I just could not deal with. I did that because now I can walk in a room filled with Jews. I have friends that are Jews. I have a very good friend I've known for close to 30 years. Right? Very good friend. I'm not going to mention, he'll probably be hearing this podcast, probably listen to it, probably won't get to this point where but he'll know who I'm talking about.
My boy downstairs, he's Jewish.
All right, exactly. And you know him for many years.
Long time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Right? I can walk in a room with Muslims and I could flow through the room. I could walk in a room with Christian. I could flow through the room. When I was a Christian, they almost banned me from doing that. I couldn't. I had to be against Muslim. I had to be against the Jews.
Same thing with Seventh-day Adventists.
Right?
Yeah.
Seventh-day Adventist is a
worse.
denomination in the Christian religion, and I was a Seventh-day Adventist. They despise Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, man, they go to
right?
war. Yeah.
Now, imagine that spaceship came. Let's use God, as they call their creator, God. Let's say God came and parked in the sky. God was that UFO. What would happen to all the religions of the world?
They become one.
They become one. Because you know what? God is in the sky.
Deep.
Right?
You're giving me goosebumps.
So when you think in terms of how we as humans are operating, and going back to the point I was trying to make, is that if given an opportunity and there was something happening, catastrophe, some kind of catastrophe happening, I would sacrifice myself to make sure that my daughter, and even though I don't get along with her mother, and her mother survive. Why? Because a mother could bear another child, possibly. My daughter could bear a child, possibly, definitely, possibly. She's young, right? And I, knowing that young man out there, 25 years old, that could help move society along, bear new children, I would go for that. I would sacrifice myself. Because if that UFO comes and park in the sky, I'm like, oh shit, what's going to happen to us now? So when women are given power, you ever hear the saying? The reason why I asked you about your religion, you ever hear the saying, to whom much is given, much is required?
Yes.
Much is given to us as men. Much is required from us. Forcefully, it has been taken away from us and given to the woman. But look at what many women are doing with it. I don't need no man. I can do all by myself. I don't need a scrub. Right?
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
Now I'm thinking about this. The workforce has changed. I remember there was a time where you see a female, you can say, "Hey, your hair looks nice today. Hey, you're that's a nice outfit you have on." You can't do that. You do that, you're going to HR.
Exactly. Exactly. Clyde, where you work, come close to the mic.
Yep.
Where you work, if a guy comes in there and he orders something and he sees a nice looking woman and he says something to her, what are the chances she's going to say thank you?
I've seen that. I mean, some of them do. Some of them are quite pleasant, you know. I mean, again, it's very much on the surface. You know, you're engaging people out in the open. You know, they're going out. They're in a good mood. You know, so it's not. I've seen a lot of things. Like mostly, for example, I've seen that it's men who pay when they come to order, right? But I mean, again, that doesn't mean anything. It's not. Again, I can't pick up on too much stuff. This is more like when it goes deeper into a relationship.
Right, right.
I was thinking about the whole narrative thing. You know, like I don't really need to look at like the numbers, statistics, and stuff that prove that there's something wrong with the narrative that we have been perpetuating throughout history. You know that
because you can see it
because I can look at myself. You know, and typically when men say those things, you know, like and they're in favor, as in they believe that the patriarchy is like a real thing, you know, that men control and dominate, you know. It's typically done so by mentioning other men. It's always other men, you know. Like it's the reason why it is like that is because of other guys. It's never themselves.
True.
Right? It's always the other dude, and I don't look at that. I look at myself, you know. And at no point have I had like like searching out to hurt anybody. You know what I mean? Like and I think other men are the same as I am. You know, like you know what I mean? Like we don't purposefully go out of our way to hurt the opposite gender. You know, to hurt women. On the contrary, we're trying to like do more and more things, you know, to make it easier for them, so that they don't have to run away from the lion.
Right.
You know, like we've tamed nature, like built
Exactly.
civilizations with the purpose of being safe. You know, like so we don't have to outrun a
You
cheetah.
know, at my job,
Mm-hmm.
it's mandatory. Every year, we have to take a sexual harassment class, and it's every year
Mm.
because of one female claimed that this guy touched her, and he didn't even touch her; he just touched her hand. And it,
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
I met you where you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were working at the gym, and we just exchanged a few conversation. And you didn't even remember me, but I remembered you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I called you, like, who's this? And I reintroduced myself, and I said to you, hey, we're going to be doing a show, Modern Woman versus Traditional Woman. Are you available? And you said, send the address to me. Now, you didn't remember me, but based on how we had the conversation today, you immediately said, all right, I'm there. What would have happened if you had called a woman let's say I called a woman that I met, and I said, hey, we're doing a show today. Chances are, what would have happened?
She probably wanted to see what she can get out of it. What's, you know, I guess it depends on the scenario, but she wouldn't have just came. I don't think so.
Because she's thinking about her safety. Or if she's going to come, she's going to bring a friend,
A friend, yeah.
right?
If she didn't remember you, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Clyde and I went out several weeks ago, maybe a month, maybe a little more than several. Yeah, let's just say several weeks ago, and we were introducing ourselves and saying, "Hey, we have a podcast. We have a podcast studio, and we want to get some guests into the studio." And they were young; they were like in their early 20s, and they turned to us and said, "Are you going to pay me?" Saying, "No, I'm not going to pay you. We're not going to pay you because you're going to get the benefit, because you're going to be listed in our description." Well, no, Poppy, you have to pay me. And I'm like, Poppy, I have to pay you to come, and you're going to get the benefit. That's how it works. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I say that because look how easy it was for us as men to gather. There were supposed to be more men in here, but they had previous engagement responsibility so they had to go. A guest left because he had a previous engagement. He had to go too, right? It's harder for men to get a woman to come to have a meaningful conversation. It's easy when men get together. We get together simple, because the reason why you and I and all of us can get together, we understand that there's a possibility that if something happened between us, we know we're going to have to defend ourselves. So our mentality, our conditioning is that there's always an expectation of violence. So we're going to behave ourselves. Women, they don't care. Think about it. I'm 6'2.5". A woman that's 5'2", if I say the wrong thing to her, say, hey, your strap on your shoe is going to break. It's, what? You're looking at my foot? No, I'm just trying to tell you that your strap on, right? And she'll turn around emotionally and slap me in the face. Not saying that happened, but I'm using that as an example, right? Now, was that a physical abuse? Was that physical assault? When she slapped me in the face, was that physical assault?
that was absolutely.
Physical, yeah.
Right? Now the authorities comes out. Who are they going to?
You.
Chances are who are going to get the handcuffs?
You.
Exactly. Right? Because we've all been conditioned, historically conditioned. A woman,
Is always right.
always right. That's the state of what's going on.
Can I
But-
take? Oh,
Go ahead.
I went to the child support office one time,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go to the child support office,
Mm-hmm.
you're a monster.
Mhm.
Immediately, you're
Mhm.
a monster. They talk to you like you're a piece of beep.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude in front of me, he's trying to talk to the lady, and the lady's giving him so much attitude. And then he said, "I'm the one who's getting child support."
Mm.
The whole thing changed. All of a
Damn.
sudden, he was a good person.
Yeah, because that's how we're conditioned. Question: I'm going to assume I'm right. Right? Do you have any children?
No.
Okay, so I'm right. What do you have any children?
No.
Okay, how many children do you have?
That I know of.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that you know of.
About, I'm gonna be honest with you. That I know. I have 6 kids and 5 baby mothers.
Whoa!
Rolling Stone.
Papa was.
Don't take off the hat. Don't take off the hat. You know the song say, wherever you take the hat, it's home.
This is home.
Don't take off the hat. Wow. I was almost there. I almost had 6 children too, right? But it wasn't with that many. It was. I would have been with the woman if and I had all 6 of them if she didn't delete my child. And every time that happened, I would leave the woman, and they would know. I wouldn't tell them. That's the reason why.
Well, I had a lot of deletions too.
Right.
Yeah.
So I the last one I stayed, and that's that. But I won't get into that. But the reason why I ask if you have children is because how many girls?
Baby mother.
No, child. Girl.
Oh. I have.
Oh, you don't know, man?
No. I have 3 girls. Three girls. 3 boys. Yeah.
Oh, come on. 3 girls and 3 boys.
Listen,
I'm
my
trying to
guy
put you on the
was
spot,
outside.
man.
There's some. I'm not gonna lie to you. Some of my kids, I've never raised them, but my money was always there.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah.
All right. So there's a reason why I asked. No, so I have 1 daughter, and the rest of us in here, 5 of us in here, you have 6, right? Even though you weren't around a few of your children, I don't know how many. You don't have to say. If you had, let's say their mothers dropped them all off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which ones would you gravitate to mostly? I already know the answer, but I'm asking you, which ones would you gravitate towards mostly?
Don't judge me. The ones I didn't have to pay child support for.
No. Regardless of child support,
Okay.
which ones would you graduate? 3 boys and 3 girls. Which ones would you graduate closer to?
My sons.
Your sons. Why?
Cause I taught them how to drive.
No.
We
Pause. Let me rephrase that. They were dropped off to you. You didn't teach your sons anything. You didn't teach your daughters anything. Their mothers say, "I don't want them anymore. They're yours." And now you're responsible for taking care of them moving forward. Which ones would you protect?
Well, there's a lot of answers for that, but I'd
More
protect,
inclined to protect.
I protect my daughters.
Pause. Next question. Why would you be inclined to protect your daughters?
Because they're females.
Okay. Going back now, originally, we're talking about wars. Most man goes to war. Most man had control over things. Most man did this. Most man did that. Rightfully so, yes. Now, putting the burden of proof of why man had things set up, put in place, made life easy for women, is why I asked that question. As a father, your job as a father is to make the life easy for whom? Your sons or your daughters?
My daughters, my sons, they could do it themselves.
Thank you.
I think you trapped me.
You did say you wanted to be on the podcast, right? You did meet us in the parking lot and said, "Hey, I have a lot to say," but you didn't know I was capable of doing that, right?
Yeah.
So that goes back to the point of why society is the way it is now and was. The only thing that has changed is that the constant bombardment from society. So I have this here. Where I asked earlier if society panders to women, everybody in here agrees. Yes? Yes,
Yep.
Clyde?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody agrees. And why does society panders to women? Everybody will agree to this point because we all had this conversation. Is because women are the largest spenders. $7 trillion. That is expected. 4% increase from time past from 2018 to 2030. 4% increase, $7 trillion. Globally, about 40 trillion. Right? When people are married, when we have married couples, what tends to happen?
The husband spends more money.
But spends more money for him alone,
No,
or
for
for the
her, 'cause she's the one-
or for the family.
For the family, but
Okay. When a woman is single versus a woman being married, who spends more money?
the single woman,
Why?
because all she has to do is spend on herself.
Right. And she buys everything.
Everything. All the brand
When
names.
exactly. When a woman is married, her husband is more conservative. Even men that are flashy with buying the flashy supercars, and even them know that they have to take care of the responsibilities first, and then they can, right? Unless they are those men that think that they should go gamble all their money off or do only for themselves. Those are those men that I would consider ridiculous and stupid, right?
Yeah, you can't put the money in the hand of the woman because she's just gonna spend it.
And you can't put the money in the hands of some men
Because they're going to blow
because they're going to blow it.
Yeah.
But if they were married and they were in a relationship and not so much a manipulationship, then they'll be more conservative.
Yeah.
But when a woman is single, she spends more money.
Yeah, she goes all out.
Exactly. Every time she's going out on the weekend, new dress, new makeup, everything, more
Nails, hair.
perfumes, hair, right?
A new
they're
dress for each hour.
exactly. So they're the biggest proponents of society, and the financial hamster wheel keep going around. So the reason why women are single or going to be single 45%, $7 trillion by 2030 is because there are winners that are taking advantage of what they're seeing. I said this to my daughter. She's almost 15. Actually, she's going to be 15 this month. And we were having a conversation, and I said, "Sweets, do you see how many apartments they're building?" Because she said, "When I grow older, I want a nice luxury apartment, a nice car, and a dog." I said, "No, I want you to get married. I want you to marry before you carry. So no babies before you get married." I know I was never married, but it was not because I didn't want to, it was because of certain circumstances. She knows why, right? And I told her, marry before you carry. The reason why they're building all these apartments and these financial firms are doing surveys, coming up with statistics, making financial projection based on what's going to happen over the next several years, is because they are perpetuating single people. They know that women love opulence.
Yep.
So their jobs is to perpetuate it in media. Think about when they're going to cancel someone. It's done in a concerted effort across the board. Every social media platform will do it in an instant, same time. Boom, 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 boom. Dominoes fall for one person or a group. Everybody's gone. One instant, they cancel them off every platform. Why? Because they know that the dominant spender in society are women. So they are going to, in a concerted effort, all of them join up to market to women. Right? Because women spend more. Women are the largest spender in society. They don't want families to be together, because if families are together, families are conservatives. Less money will be spent in society. Women are single. Tell them, so, okay, hey, artists, let's come up with an artist name. Let's call this artist Think and Say. Let's call this artist, let's call the group thinkandsay.com. Shout out to thinkandsay.com. Right? Now, you artists, I'm going to pay you $5 million and you're going to create an album. And all the album needs to say is talk about botchery, opulence, sex, rock and roll. The music isn't filled with debauchery. Right? Why? Because it's going to help the agenda to perpetuate single people. Right? Let's say I'm a man and I'm a millionaire. Right? I'm not, but let's say I was a millionaire. And I walk in the room and I was on a scale of one, on a scale of 1 to ugly, I'm about a 4. Right? I say that right, correct? That would be opposite, right? A scale on 1 to ugly, I would be a 6, right? If I said 1 to 10, 4, 1 to ugly, it will be opposite, so I'll be a 6, right?
That's right.
Right. So on a scale of 1 to ugly, I'm a 6, right? Okay, cool. But I'm a millionaire, and I walk in the room, right? I walk into this podcast studio, and beautiful woman sitting here. Maybe let's say 6 beautiful women. No, let's change the number. 4 beautiful women, 2 average women. So 6 women, right? There's what? 9 chairs in here? There were a dozen chairs in here, roughly, right? I think 11 to be exact. But all the chairs are filled. 3 guys, 7 women, 8 women, 6, 4 looking really good, 2 looking average, and 1 is a 4, below average. And I walk in, and I'm on a scale of 1 to ugly, I'm a 6. So I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 4. But I'm a millionaire, and the only millionaire that they know that's in that studio. The other guys, they make average 50, 60, maybe 100,000, maybe 200,000. But I make $1 million a year. All those women, including the below average one and the average one, who do you think they're going to want?
You.
Why?
Because you're a millionaire.
Because I'm the millionaire. The other guys that are average income earners would treat them better than me. Right? Why would I treat them different than those guys that are average?
Because you have the power.
Because I have the power. The power is
Money.
I have the choice to be with whoever I want to, and they're all going to want to be with me. Modern woman, that's the way they think.
Yeah.
Traditional women, they are going to want the one that are average because they said an average man will treat me better.
Yeah.
That's why. So, in terms of keeping us single people, the companies that are doing it are the fashion designers, the perfume companies,
Yep.
right? The shoe companies. Well, they are also fashion designers, right? Even the big farmers. Why? Because now most of the medication that are given for what's
Alzheimer.
no for depression. Who you think are the biggest consumers of depression medication?
Single women.
Single women, the biggest consumers. So all of these apparel company, footwear company, big pharma, they're all cohesively marketing to women because they're the biggest consumer of everything on this planet. That's why we have the issues that we have right now. So when we sat and we said modern woman versus traditional woman, and rather than just Clyde and I having a conversation, is because we can have a good conversation, a better conversation with men, right?
Mm-hmm.
How old is your girlfriend?
22
22. And how long have you been with her?
for about 3.5.
3.5 years. Okay. Have she showed you any signs that she wants to live a more opulent life?
What do you mean by that? Meaning like
She wants to be more
the
flashy.
Louboutins.
She wants the Birkins and all that stuff.
I think I could say yes, but I think every woman would want that.
No.
as well.
We're not talking about every woman. We're talking about
My
your
woman.
yes.
From time to time, sometimes, yeah.
She want them red bottoms.
Okay. So
Red bottoms,
is she going for it for herself, or she's asking you to get it for her?
a little bit of both. Like she works hard for it, but then again, like she throw out hints that she wants me to get it for her.
And how long you think that will be before things change in your relationship? She's 22, and she's in a relationship for three years. You say on and off, but you guys are in a steady relationship right now, right?
Yeah.
But how long you think it will last before you guys start having issues?
Not long.
Not long.
Not long.
Right. Now, flip that. Let's look at it on the black hand side. Right? Flip that. Right? White hand side, black hand side. This is you giving her what she wants. This is her giving you what you want. How long before you can hold your hand like this? Before your elbows start hurting.
Not too long.
But you can hold your hand like this for a very long time and your elbow don't hurt. Did you just understand what I did there?
Yeah.
Her elbow is going to start hurting very soon. When it's flipped this way and you're giving, her elbow is not going to hurt and your elbow is not going to hurt. But she's going to be very happy because she's receiving. I asked you that because I wanted to make this point. We, right now, from way back then, and Clyde has said it, we've always been doing everything to make women life easier.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point now because these big brands have seen how easy woman life is and they want to benefit from it. So now we are the bad guys. That's why we can't say things relatively easy or openly like we used to, because modern feminism has changed that for us. Traditional days gone by when even when our mothers or aunties or sisters were a bit aggressive, I would trade that in for what's going on today. Right? Would you say that, Clyde?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Exactly. Right? So guys, what do you think about this conversation that we're having? Do you think that it's the society, the marketers, the big corporation that are making women the way they are, or what's your take? What's your feedback?
Well, I think society is helping. Women, their minds are changing. They want more. They want to be by themselves. They want to do for themselves. And yeah, society is definitely helping them. They're getting better jobs than we are, better opportunities than we are. They can afford. I'm looking at where I live, and you brought a couple of things to mind, and these buildings that they're building, and I see these women walking their dogs, and young women, single women walking their dogs, and very few guys. You know, I see more women than men walking downtown, walking their dogs around. It just dawned on me. And
because
and those apartments are not cheap.
Those apartments are not cheap. So they need to have them filled. I used to do property management. I did it for 9 years. And most of the people that rented were single mothers, right? There was one property, and I have to tell a story before we wrap up. But there was this one property I managed, right? And there was this one guy living there, and he was running through about 25% of the property because all the women wanted him.
Wow.
He drove a Benz. He lived on the property, but all the women wanted him, right? He changed his Benz to, I think it was a Toyota Corolla or something like that, but he hooked it up, right? And he was running through the woman, single mothers, single women, right? Because they all and there were other men living on the property, and they didn't even show that guy those other guys the time of the day, because they're all going after the same group of men. So when you see single women living in apartments, right?
Mm-hmm.
There might be one or two guys that are coming through, banging them out, and leaving, right? While there are other men that passing by, hey, how you doing, right? A woman. Let me reverse this. Let me preface this by saying, women of the past, you say hi to them, they smile.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing? Now you say hi to a woman,
They don't even look at you.
they say,
You.
too early for that,
Yeah.
right? So they're all going after the same type of man and expecting different. You know the definition of being insane?
Yeah.
What's the definition?
Doing the same thing over and over and expect different results.
Outcomes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And why are they on medication?
They're insane.
Right. So in final say, it's because what's going on, it's by design. We are just the
Catalyst.
I wouldn't say we are the catalyst. We hold the sharp end of the knife. They hold the handle of the knife, so they know how to cut and slice and dice whichever direction they want. And so they have sliced and diced, and they know, okay, they're going to place part of society this way, and they're going to place part of society this way. They're going to perpetuate the gynocentric society, and they're going to make the other part of society, which are men, but the patriarchy, as they call it, as it is, left behind, and the gynocracy.
Gynocentric.
I said gynocracy because
Gynocracy,
right,
Mm-hmm.
perpetuated, right? Because if that's not the case, they will not make money. When you have a company, it has board members, stockholders. The stockholders need to see year over year a benefit and a return year over year. We as people are just we're cattle. We're cattle. We go out in the workforce. We pull the chariots. We build the buildings. We drive the big machines to build these buildings, build the cars, build everything. We are the cattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we're cattle, we do what cattle have to do. We have to do the hard work, right? Women are in the farms being fed, having an easy life.
Yeah, not to, I get this a lot when I go out with my girl. Okay, we're going shopping. Oh, I see who wears the pants.
What does she mean by that?
No, not people like that talking to us and we asking questions. My wife gotta say she gotta be the one that's doing all the talking, and they would say, "Oh, I see who wears the pants."
Yes.
And I would say, "Well, I wear the pants, but she wears the belt." Just to save my face, but I know who wears the pants.
You know who wears the pants.
Yeah.
And if you decide that you're going to wear the pants and tighten the belt, what will happen?
She would take the belt off. My clothes will be outside.
So do you even see that even though you're married, that she still holds the power?
Yeah. That's,
all right.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I'm going to say this, but don't take it offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've given her that power from at some point she did something and you were okay with it, and she kept on pushing the envelope and you were okay with it. So it got to the point now where you can't. She wears the pants, and she knows how to loosen the belt to make your clothes fall off.
And she does it. And when I say, when she tries to when I tell her, it's because of you, I did this and I'm here and I'm not here, and she would tell me, well, you're the one who said yes. You could have said no.
Exactly. When a man and a woman is in a relationship, and even woman and woman in a relationship, because a lot of the most violent relationship, a most abusive relationship, are woman and woman in relationship, right? There's less violence in man and man relationship, right? I mean, and also man and woman relationship, right? So, did you guys understand what I just said? There's less violence in man and man relationship. There less violence in man and woman relationship, and more violence in woman and woman relationship.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Why is there more violence in woman and woman relationship versus man and woman relationship versus man and man relationship?
Because you have two controllers.
Two controllers and two emotional beings.
Emotional. Yeah.
Exactly. So now, that emotion is what's being played on. I'm going to read this, and then we're going to wrap this up, right?
Okay.
Some sectors in particular could be benefiting from this demographic shift. Some sectors in particular could be benefiting from this demographic shift. The reason why some would be benefiting is because they know that in order to benefit, they need to work in coercion. They work cohesively. So apparel, footwear, personal care, food and luxury, electric vehicles are most likely to get a boost from more spending by single women, according to whom? Morgan Stanley.
Wow.
Morgan Stanley is one of the biggest financial firms.
Yeah.
They're some of the backers of these big buildings, apartment complexes. One where you live. Where you live, there are more women living there than men. There are more women living there than families. I know this for sure because I've been there many times.
Oh, so you live in a rich building.
Right? Those apartments are probably a one bedroom is like what, 1,800?
About, I stay in the penthouse, so
You're paying like about 3,500.
yeah, 36.
Yeah. 36? See?
Parking.
I know. All right, that include parking and amenities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why we're having this problem is because it was by design. Largely because men made it that way. Corporations made it that way because they want to make sure they are the benefactors of modernism, or modern woman versus traditional woman. This is why we're where we are today. I'm not saying women are not largely to be blamed for it, because they go along with it. Probably in the future we do another show, we can talk about how, when the government decided that they were going to give women
The right to vote.
no, not the right to vote. They were going to start giving women monies for keeping the man out of the household.
Oh,
Right.
welfare.
Right?
Shit.
We'll do a show in the future. We all can get together, bring more
Yeah, that'll
people
be
in,
interesting.
right? Because it's been going on for a very long time. Before modern woman and traditional woman became an issue, they had to start divide and conquer. Once they divide and conquer, they control the purse, the wallets, the pocketbooks, and everything that's in it comes out and goes back to them. Remember when, this is the last point I'm going to make. I'm going to leave you guys with something to think. Remember when we had the shutdown and the government started giving money?
Yeah.
Okay, where did anybody keep the money, or it went right back to the
It went
corp-
right back.
Where did it go?
Back to the economy.
And who's in the economy?
The big corporations.
The corporation. That's why they say the rich
Get
will
rich.
always get richer,
No, that's
right? So we can blame women all we want, but these big organization, they only got together. They hire a psychologist that goes and sit down and have big conversation on how to market to people, primarily women. And so even though we're here having this conversation of modern woman versus traditional woman, right? They're only to be blamed because they fall for the trap. And we now as men are suffering. And on that note, guys, this was a great
yeah,
conversation.
it was indeed.
So let's end it out.
I've been sitting here thinking about all the things you do for me, how you make me feel. But wondering if it's the same for you. But when you're not around, I lose my mind, 'cause you keep it like a secret. Why won't you reveal it? Just please.